And good morning. It is a Tuesday edition of Glenn Clark Radio. I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas. These are somebody else's headphones. Where are my headphones? Ended up over here. That's what happened. I see. We had a bit of an adventure last time we were all in here together last Thursday. You didn't take any of the Bean Boozled home to play with your family?
No, I didn't. I decided I didn't have to.
That's weird. It's weird.
It was
I don't know
weird.
why you wouldn't do that. It's a nice family activity for the holidays.
Just eat some habanero jelly beans just for fun.
I hope you all had a wonderful, wonderful holiday weekend. Obviously, it ended on a high note. Ravens, not surprising that they were competitive. Not, Mike Florio was the only person that thought they were going to go get their ass beat. I guess some people thought that because the line was much bigger than I expected it to be. But just the way that it all unfolded, obviously, not what even those of us that didn't think they were going to get their ass beat necessarily expected, as they go to Santa Clara and beat the 49ers 33-19. Much to do on a Tuesday edition of the program. Just a few minutes. Dan Wilcox will join us. We'll get the thoughts of the former Ravens tight end about what this says now about the Ravens. This is the weird part about all of it. And I said this last night during Project Game Day. If you missed Project Game Day later today, go take a view, take a listen. We had a full house last night. Myself, Femi, Rita, KZ, Stetka, Josh Charles, Stan the Fan Charles.
Wow.
There's a lot going on last night for Project Game Day. We do it every game day this season. It's brought to you by AJ Michaels, Superbook Sports, and HelpMyGamblingProblem.org. We will be back early evening, late afternoon, following Ravens-Dolphins this Sunday. Come hang out with us, Facebook.com/PressBoxSports, YouTube.com/PressBoxOnline for Project Game Day. But at 5-0 last night, I was prepared to send out the tweet that said, hey, whatever happens the rest of the way, remember this one doesn't really matter all that much. And that was in part reflective of how uneasy we were all feeling at 5-0, and we were all feeling quite uneasy at 5-0. And it was part reflective of the truth, which is the thing that we talked about all last week, which is that this was like a Titanic exhibition. It was weird. It meant a lot and meant nothing at all. And so if for whatever reason, everything had snowballed from that point, from 5-0, and had just gotten away from the Ravens, and they didn't recover, and they ended up losing, even if they had lost by a couple of scores, my reaction today would have been, hey, that's a bummer, but it matters exactly as much as what happens this Sunday. It's kind of irrelevant. And I only say that not because I want to be dismissive of what happened last night. I think last night was fun as hell. And in many ways helps to define what the 2023 Baltimore Ravens are. But we do have to be careful, and we have to be pragmatic, and we have to be realistic about the fact that legitimately it still means about as much as what happens next week. And that's the tough part to talk about, because it feels like the Ravens just went out and won a conference championship, but they didn't. This week is the big game. And they didn't get back from San Francisco until this morning. And they're a little behind in their preparations for what's actually the biggest game of the year coming up this Sunday. We have to be realistic about that. We have to talk about it. But that doesn't mean we can't talk about how much fun it was. And the biggest takeaways for me, I'm not writing a column today, although maybe I'll write one tomorrow if I have time. We're working this week, but it's one of those, like, working things where I legitimately have stuff to do every night of the week. Tonight is my family's big annual holiday get-together. We don't do it on the holidays. We do it the day afterwards. It works out better that way. Everybody can go see whoever they need to see on the holiday, and then we all get the next day to our, to us. So I got to race out of here. I think I'm going to try to make some bacon-wrapped jalapenos today.
Ooh, man.
I'm responsible for dessert, but apparently I got so much dessert for Thanksgiving that
I have some extra Malort cookies.
I might take you up on them. I actually think I'm going to grab that bottle of Irish eggnog that we never opened and throw it in as a white elephant gift for the evening.
Brilliant.
I stopped and got a few scratch-off tickets. I think I'm going to make it that, and I think that's going to be my white elephant gift. So I got that, and then tomorrow it's the radio show. I got to do the radio show. I kept thinking, Wednesday. I swear to God, my wife and my mother-in-law were like, we can take the kids to Great Wolf Lodge. I'm like, yeah, let's do it. Totally forgot that I had to do the radio show. Utterly, completely forgot. Then I'm taking the kids to my father's birthday present this year is we're going to the Maryland game on Thursday night. And then on Friday we have my friend's annual holiday gathering. We go to Chipperelli's for dinner. It's it's a jam-packed week. So I'm working, but I'm working, right? Like I'm coming in here and then I'm going about this is the way it goes, man. Like a lot of people take this week off. So you're welcome, okay? You're welcome. We're here. And we're not taking off an extra day. We'll be off next Monday. That's it for the holiday. And I'll be on 105.7 next Monday. So I don't even get that day off. All right? It's not nice.
Oh, okay.
Although I don't have to work the morning shift, which is weird because I don't go out for New Year's anymore. So I'm like, I can work the morning shift. And for whatever reason, I'm working the midday shift. It makes, I don't know, whatever. Moral of the story being, if I was writing a column today, I would be writing about how this team doesn't wither, how this team doesn't crack. Now, the argument you would make is the second half of the Browns game, and that notwithstanding. At 5-0, I had the feeling of, oh boy, this one might get away from them. This might end up going the wrong way. This just might not be their night. Maybe everybody going out to California early and everybody getting together with their families because it was the holidays, and maybe they just weren't as sharply focused, and the 49ers are a machine, and this just might not go their way. And obviously that wasn't the case. And there's a few things worth pointing out, right? Like we'll get the pats on the ass later. I think Kyle Hamilton's going to show up very high, and hopefully the news continues to be good with Kyle Hamilton. It starts with an opportunistic defense. It's funny the way we're talking about the defense because the truth is they were getting gashed by George Kittle. Like they were leaving massive swaths of real estate. So we're going to use the word dominant, but I don't know that dominant is actually the word. The word is opportunistic. When they had the chance to make the plays, they made them. And as we've talked about a lot in recent years, playmaking defenses, to me, are the new high-level defenses because the rules don't allow you to be the dominant, bully of Baltimore defense any longer. You have to make plays. And obviously, it goes without saying that last night, the Ravens made a boatload of plays. And it allowed that little bit of time that was necessary for the offense to get into gear. And the offense, for the most part, took advantage of the opportunities. Like, it was a shame that on the one short field they got after the Hamilton interception, they weren't able to, cash in for a touchdown. I think they just went 3 and out, right? And they got a field goal, so 3 and out, but they were in field goal range when they got the ball. But for the most part, they took advantage of it. They didn't screw anything up. They didn't make the big mistakes. Rashad Bateman had the one drop when, he started to turn upfield, and he was going to have a big play, but you got to make sure you hold on to the football. But they didn't make mistakes. They made some really significant plays. Everybody's talking about Lamar running to his left and then throwing back across his body to Isaiah Likely after the John Simpson penalty, and it was an amazing play. I don't know why we're not talking more about the other side of that play. What Isaiah Likely did, to me, is even more remarkable than, and part of this might be that, we're just used to it with Lamar and, we kind of expect it. But what Isaiah Likely did is so next level. For him to have known that if that ball gets anywhere near the ground, you're running the risk of now what is the opinion of an official? Is the opinion of an official that the ground was involved in the process of the catch? For him to have swung that ball in before he's caught it, before he has control of it, for the first thought to be, whatever you do, don't let this get anywhere near the ground. In that motion, as he's going down to swing the ball in, pin it against his leg, and allow his leg to stabilize the football to make sure it gets nowhere near the ground so it can complete the process of the catch and there's no way to even go to review, is next level stuff. And I get it, Isaiah Likely has played a high level of football for some time, including college, but not with consistent playing time in the NFL. What Isaiah Likely is doing, and remember, this is why we were having this debate about Would You Rather Wednesday last week, and Mark Andrews, some of us were like, hey, it's kind of working right now. We love Mark. That's next level, man. That is high IQ football in that moment. And it's driving me nuts that it's going missed in that play, that all we're talking about is Lamar's throw, which, again, I get it. It was remarkable, but that's sort of what he does. Isaiah Likely, for us to see this level of IQ from him in that moment, it was crazy. The biggest story of the night to me is 5-0, and this team doesn't wither. This team stands up. There's no, all right, not the end of the world. We'll go get him in Miami next week. There's none of that. And it can't be measured. It can't be quantified with a statistic. You can bring up the fact that I saw one that was floating around last night. Have the Ravens led at the 2-minute warning in every game this season? There's ways to attempt to quantify how competitive they've been. They've never trailed by X number of there's things that you can attempt to do to try to quantify it, but none of the statistics are fully quantifiable. Because so many. Did they lead at the 2-minute warning against the Rams? I saw that statistic. Maybe they had a lead at the 2-minute warning or later in every game. Maybe that's the way it was defined. They have either led at the 2-minute warning or later in every game that they've played this season, I believe, was the statistic that I saw floating around last night. But the point being that that is a statement about their competitiveness. To me, it's a greater statement about their heart, their leadership, these things that you just can't define analytically. And it's a credit to John Harbaugh and this coaching staff. And they deserve that praise in the same way that they deserve to be beat up when they make dumb decisions, right? When they wildly throw a challenge flag that has no opportunity or fail to challenge the many plays that would have definitely been overturned in the Chargers game. They deserve criticism in those moments, but they similarly deserve praise. They deserve praise for how it is this team rallies around them. If you don't understand it, you're not going to understand it, or you're going to choose not to understand it or to pretend like it's not a thing or any old coach could do it. And it's fine. And I don't want it to detract from what the players themselves did on the field last night, because the players typically win the football games or lose the football games almost always. We love beating up the coaches. We love to do it. We don't own their jerseys. It's much easier. They're largely just guys. But we don't like to praise them. And to me, last night, clearly you can say, hey, it was clinical from Mike McDonald. Or you could say, well, how about that play design by Todd Monken after the turnover in the second half to get Zay Flowers wide open in the end zone? You can say all of those things. But to me, it's bigger than that. It's this more, whatever you want to call it, collegiate thing, spiritual connection, this vibe, the thing that can't be defined, the thing that sometimes you roll your eyes at. When John Harbaugh gets described as a leader of men, some of you that don't like John Harbaugh kind of roll your eyes at it, like, okay, fine, whatever. That matters, and it mattered last night. It mattered in a moment where so many teams allow things to get away from them, and they didn't. That's the measure and the quality of leadership. And they deserve to be praised for it. They deserve for us to say, good on you. You got the job done last night. And obviously the Ravens, on the whole, most certainly got the job done last night. All right, today's show is brought to you by Superbook. Superbook.com. Download the Superbook app. When you sign up, use the code GlennClark23, and you will receive up to $250 in a same-day first bet match, win or lose. Ravens still just the second Super Bowl favorite. Despite pounding the 49ers last night, the 49ers are still the 2-1 favorite. Not 2-1, 1-2. My fault. Man, flip it, reverse it, Missy Elliott. 1-2, where the Ravens are just plus 400 to win the Super Bowl. So after you saw what you saw last night, if you are feeling away, get to Superbook.com, download that Superbook app, use the code GlennClark23. Ravens also 3-point favorites on the first line for next Sunday against the Dolphins. So take advantage of that offer, up to $250 in a same-day first bet match, win or lose. Superbook.com or download the Superbook app. Let's talk more about the Ravens' performance last night. Joining us now, former Ravens tight end, of course, the host of the Believe in Ravens podcast. He is our friend, Mr. Dan Wilcox, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Dan, good morning. Hope you, your family had an incredible holiday. Always appreciate you, brother. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Thanks, Glenn, man. Merry Christmas to you and the family as well, man, and the whole radio station. You guys are phenomenal. Continue to do great things this year, man. 2023. 2024. Let's go.
Appreciate you, bro. What else could we how could you have had a merrier Christmas, right? Like, my gosh, man. I don't know how we define this, because the truth is, Dan, like this win will prove to be probably about as good as whatever the Ravens follow it up with next week. But this, to me, was a declaration of who the 2023 Ravens are, which is a team that doesn't wilt, that doesn't wither, that stands up in the critical moments, and that has proven time and time again. Yes, they've had sort of bizarre flaws because nobody's perfect, but has proven time and time again what their character is as a football team, and boy, was that on display to me last night.
Man, it was a wonderful game. I enjoyed the entire game, stayed up, watched the entire thing from the beginning to the end. Primetime television, Monday Night Football, and the Ravens showed up and showed out. You know, they did exactly what I thought they would do. I knew we was going into this game. I knew it was going to be a tough game, and I've been telling people for weeks this next stretch is probably the hardest stretch of their schedule, and they can lose any of these games, you know. But at the same time, they can win them all as well because they're super talented themselves. And I mean, they showed up and played a great game offensively, defensively, and special teams wise. I felt like all three phases they dominated. And the team that everybody said was the best team in the entire league just got beat by the team that nobody's giving credit to.
Did Lamar Jackson win NFL MVP last night?
Absolutely. I mean, he was already NFL MVP to me going into that game, you know, no matter what nobody else said or whatever. But the Ravens showed Brock Purdy, you know, showed the world who Brock Purdy was. Everybody saying he's the MVP over Lamar Jackson. Well, 5 interceptions later, 4 interceptions by Purdy and 1 by the quarterback that came in behind him,
Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I mean, I love it, man. I think that's how you step up and you back up your QB as a defense, man. That just shows you how much respect the team has for Lamar Jackson as a whole. The defense plays great, and they take on the challenges of the offense when the offense is dominant as well. So I guarantee you those defensive players, man, we're not gonna let nobody think that Brock Purdy is MVP after this game. We're going at his throat. And they went at him, man. They went at him hard, and he faltered, he folded, and he went out the game with an injury as well. So, I mean, to me, that's Ravens football all day long. That's how defense plays when you play for the Ravens.
Dan, you know, I'm a noted dumb guy, right? Like I've made a life out of sort of being that guy here. I know that what Mike McDonald is doing is remarkable, but I also know that, like, you don't want to take any credit away from the players that are on the field. So I wonder for you, like, how do you define, if somebody said, hey Dan, What is Mike Macdonald doing that's different? Like, why is this defense better or more opportunistic or whatever word you want to use to describe it? What have you seen over these 2 years? And really, I know a lot of it changed the moment that Roquan showed up, and maybe that's the bigger story, and we talk about what this defense is doing. But how have we gotten to this point where this group is playing like, a vintage Baltimore Ravens defense?
I think what I like most about Mike is that he's young. He's not an older guy. He's almost the age of some of the players that's playing on the actual team right now, probably the same age as some of them, actually. And I like that. I think that energy, that young energy, I think helps out. I think the guys respect him in a different light. You don't feel like he's an authority figure. You feel like he's one of you, send you up to be in great situations. And he's probably communicating with the players and trying to figure out what they like as well. And I think that's what young coaches do. They can relate more to those guys, and they understand that these guys trying to feed their family and they're trying to eat. And I think he's setting these guys up, to put them in great situations, and they believe in him. They believe in what he's doing. They believe in, and they bought into his system, and his system is the, pretty much the Ravens way already. He's been there. He was the linebacker coach for a while, in the Wink Martindale and those guys. So, I mean, he's been around long enough to earn these guys respect. When they hired him back, all I saw was happiness and smiles on those guys' faces when they hired Mike back. And even when he was leaving, I remember them not being very happy that he was leaving as well. The players were like, man, we're going to miss Mike. He was one of the guys that they really liked. And when I was up there interning with the Ravens, Glenn, he had a really, really, really good rapport among the guys, So I think that his energy, his youthfulness, the excitement that he brings, the relatability that he has to the age of the players and the players who plays for the Baltimore Ravens defense, I think he's earned their respect. And that alone, Glenn, allows them to want to go out and run through a brick wall for him.
Dan Wilcox is with us here on GCR after a massive win for the Ravens last night. Dan, that in mind, I asked this question of a couple folks. We were just having fun with it last week. Lamar Jackson is going to be the team's MVP, and that's an easy call. He's, as to your point, he's the league MVP, right? Like, he's going to be Ravens MVP. But if there was a world in which we said, hey, you got to vote for an MVP of this team, and it's not allowed to be Lamar Jackson, and you got to name one guy, you can't just name all the good football players because there's a bunch of them. Who to you has been the next, most valuable player on this roster besides Lamar?
I think I will have to go to the defensive side of the ball. If it's not Lamar, of course I would. If it was offense, I would want to say maybe OBJ. Because what he brings to the locker room is tremendous. What he brings for the attitude of the offense is tremendous. His unselfishness as far as, how many balls he wants thrown his way and allowing them to develop and the offense to develop the way that it has been superb, even coming off all the injuries. And if I was to go to the defensive side of the ball, it would be one or two guys. It would be zero Roquan Smith, the way the leadership role that he's taken on with the defense and how he's made everybody around him better. Or it would be Jadeveon Clowney. He's came in. I feel like he's done some phenomenal things for us. He's given us so much pressure on the opposite opposing team QBs that he's allowed other guys to flourish. Like, other guys have gotten sacks off his pressures and the fact that he's always in the QB's face and he's disrupting timing on the other side of the ball so much throughout the season. I mean, I think he still leads the league in pressures. He's missed a lot of sacks as well as gained a lot. I think he has 11 sacks on the year already or something like that, something close to that. But he's just been a unwithering force on the defensive side of the ball, where he's just been relentless over and over again, week in and week out, and that's what Raven football is all about. And he's given us that added speed, the added mistake, clause that the Ravens defense have always caused everybody else to have. Make opposing offenses make mistakes.
Do you at all, Dan, do you concern yourself at all with this team, again, as emotional as this win was and as clearly personal as it was? Do you concern yourself at all with their ability to turn around short week? They didn't get back till this morning and be emotionally in the place where they need to be again this coming Sunday for what is actually the most important game of the year they're going to play with the number one seed at stake against the Dolphins?
I think this game is set up for the Dolphins to win with a short week. Unfortunately, it's hard, man. It's hard when you play Monday night and then you have to come back around and play right away real fast against another team, but you adjust your schedule. You get rid of and they went to a West Coast team. They flew all the way to San Fran. They had to fly all the way back here, and that takes its toll on you as well. Being on that plane, those 5 hours, and but I really do think that the Ravens is built for it. Eric DaCosta and company has done a phenomenal job with depth of this team and just having this team prepared the way that it needs to prepare. I think that 3 years ago when we had all those injuries and, everybody was hurt, including Lamar and everybody, I think that season made us realize like we didn't have enough depth. And I think what he's done is he's built this team on depth and consistency and stability. And I think that the Baltimore Ravens are built to play whatever the schedule throws at them. It's set up for the Dolphins to win, but for some reason I got a feeling that we're going to find a way to take it at them. Extremely hard. I think the Dolphins' offense is phenomenal. What they're doing, all the moving, the motion, and creating mismatches with Tyreek Hill and company. Go ahead, Glenn.
It looks like Jalen Waddle is going to be out, though. That could be maybe a good news thing for the Ravens, as much as you don't want to see anybody get hurt dealing with a high ankle sprain. And that, they still, to your point, have Tyreek Hill. They still have, they're still pretty good, even without Jalen Waddle on the field. Dan, if I could, because I mentioned it was emotional, and we saw a lot of that last night. Like, Lamar Jackson was talking about Mike Florio's prediction after the game, and you could sense the Ravens during the week talked about the fact that they were bothered by the fact that they were 5.5-point underdogs going into the game. I've always been the type that, like, I don't care about that stuff. Like, I just none of it bothers me, right? Like, just go play football. But the way that it can be used as a positive or as a way to fuel you, can you, as an athlete, describe what that's like? Because I feel like it's got to be a fine line between obsessing over this type of stuff that simply doesn't matter, like all that matters is what happens between the lines when you play a football game, versus the way that you can use it to get an emotional edge. And it looked like that was part of the story for the Ravens last night.
I think the emotional edge part of it is the key. Like it's players that think the same way you think, Glenn. Like, man, I'm not paying attention to that stuff. I don't care about it. I'm not even reading. If you don't tell me, I don't even know what's happening. So it's a lot of us that think the same exact way as you. But then on the other spectrum of it, you have coaches, and the coaches are reading the stuff all day long, every day. And if they're pissed off, you kind of take on the attitude of your coach. If your coach is pissed off about something, he gonna present it in team meeting. This is what they're saying about you. And he's going to give you everything he possibly can to fuel you to work harder, to practice harder. And if he doesn't, he's not a good coach. Like good coaches are there supposed to motivate you. Once you get to the NFL, your guys are already talented. They're already phenomenal athletes. They're already the best of the best of the best of the best. So you already got great guys. You're looking for your guys to have that silly-eyed focus that Michael Jordan used to have when he was ready to put 60 on somebody. So you want to get that out of your players. And Michael Jordan used to use these type of locker room antics to be able to fuel himself to go out and drop 60 on you.
No doubt.
He wanted to be to a game, and that's how we play in Baltimore. We play pissed off. We always play pissed off, Glenn. And to be honest with you, man, when people are saying things and you're watching all these critics and the analysts and everybody that are talking about you, and saying things about you like you're not as good as the other team is, that does make you feel a certain kind of way. I don't care who you are. I don't care if you're a female and somebody's telling you that another female is better than you. You're trying to figure out why is she better than me? What does she do that I don't do? And that's the same thing with football. How are they better than us? What are they doing that we're not doing? Why are their quarterback better than us? Better than our quarterback? Why are they running back better than our running back? Why are their receivers better than our receivers? Why are their defense better than our defense? We're the one that's leading the whole league and number one all across the board on defense. So, how are they better than us? And I think it gets frustrating. You get tired of hearing it. You get tired of seeing it after a while, and then you want to do something about it. So this was their opportunity to show the world, and I think that's exactly what they did.
It's funny you bring that up. I was talking to our friend Femi Ayanbadejo last night, and he's like, dude, I'd rather be underdogs in every game. Like, I wish we could be disrespected every game. It's just something about the Ravens, something about that, chip on your shoulder mentality that's always worked for this franchise.
I 100% agree. That's who we are. I always felt like we was the black sheep of the league. It don't matter how good we were or who we had on our squad, people was going to say Pittsburgh was better. People was going to say the next team is better. And we went into every single game feeling like, we were the underdog. We was the guys that nobody liked. Even the game that we got all the penalties and broke like the league record in penalties that game, we looked at it like, why not us?
Mm-hmm.
Like, of course, we're gonna break the record in penalties. Like, it's the Ravens, you know. So it was like, it could have been something that could have been frowned upon so badly, but we was laughing about it. Like, bro, like, of course we're gonna be the team to get the most penalties ever in the history of the NFL. Like, they hate us. Like, nobody, the referees don't like us. The teams don't like us. The fans don't like us. Nobody likes us. It's just us against the world, you know. And that's the be more mentality, man. You know, we're Charm City for a reason. We're charming as heck in person, you know. But once we get on that field, man, we ready to be the baddest ones out there, week in and week out.
That wasn't that was the Lions game. I remember it. Didn't Suggs say something really funny after that game? God, I wish I could remember what it was. I'm gonna try to track it down, but I remember it quite well. And it's funny. That's a great point, Dan. What's
yeah?
Go ahead.
That's the game that Bart earned the name Mad Backer. He picked up the flag and threw it in the stands because there was so many penalties that game.
Right. He just had enough of it. What is your favorite holiday tradition, Dan? What was the thing for you and your family that means the most every year?
Honestly, I think it's just sitting around a Christmas tree and opening presents, man. One of those on Facebook, I had one of those videos that I filmed back in the day of my youngest son opening up gifts on Christmas Day. And, you know, kids, when they're young, they really do believe in Santa Claus. And as parents, we really push hard to, you know, to get our kids to have that imagination that there is a Santa Claus. And we had a bag, like a crocus bag that we had, and we it said 100 Reindeer Lane on it. And my son went into the bag and he opened up the bag and started to read the letter from Santa. You know, Santa was telling him that he's been a good boy this year and all that stuff. And it's just all those memories, you can't replace those memories for nothing in the world. Just sitting around the tree, opening up gifts, passing them out, and just being thankful, man, for, you know, God's blessings and the fruits of our labor and just being with family, man, just being around family, just having that energy is it's such a blessing.
Man, with I got the 6-year-old and the 8-year-old right now, and it's they're still in that time, and boy, it is special, brother. It is nothing. I can't even describe it. It is just something special about what these moments mean, man. Dan, you want to remind everybody about Believe in Raven?
Absolutely, Glenn. You know, Believe in the Ravens podcast is Daniel Wilcox and Kyrie Thompson, man. We're doing it once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week sometimes. It's on the Believe Network. It's on any podcast platform that you can go to find any podcast. We're on it. Believe me, we're on there. And it's an awesome podcast, man. We're just talking about the Ravens football. You know, I think the Ravens is the baddest team in the NFL right now. I don't care what nobody says. And I think we're headed to the Super Bowl this year. And I would love, with every ounce of me, to see Lamar get a chance to hoist that trophy up. I think he deserves it more than anybody. And the Ravens have took out a huge loan to be able to pay Lamar. And I think Lamar is going to pay that.
Yeah, he wants to make every penny worth, and you know how much it's driving him. He talks about it constantly. He's not worried about MVP. That's what he's worried about, and that's one of the things I love most about that guy. Dan, one of the things I love about you is, you know, everything. Always appreciate you, brother. Thank you for doing this as always. We will talk again very soon. Enjoy the new year with your family. All right, man?
You too, Glenn. Prayers up.
Appreciate you, bro. Dan Wilcox with us here on GCR. Yeah, you guys know, if you know me, you know. I don't care about what anybody on any of these shows said. I don't care. It means nothing to me. Zero. I don't watch them. It's just, there's something better to do with your time. You also know that I've been friends with Florio for a very long time. As a person, I like Mike. I do. On a personal level. Whatever you feel about his personality, I can tell you that my relationship with Mike, I like Mike as a human. We've known each other for 17 years. He came on with me with the first radio show I ever had on ESPN Radio 1300. This is not my thing. The way that you guys last night, everybody was doing the EAD thing on game day. Everybody was all work. I don't care, and I never will. This isn't. I don't care what Mike Florio. I don't care what anybody says. Were his comments way over the top? Yeah, they were way over the top and came off, frankly, performative. But I don't care. And my inclination, I'm like, the coach in Friday Night Lights. Like, just shut all that stuff out. Just shut off all the noise. Turn off stop. I'm that guy, right? Like, don't even think about it. But to Dan Wilcox's point, it has seemed to work in Ravens history. Because this isn't a major media market, the national shows don't gear their coverage towards the Ravens. To me, that's why you don't need to watch the national shows. You can join me. But it's easy. You can play the everybody hates us or we're the underdog or whatever card because you're not going to get that level of attention. It's just the natural way that it goes. They're not concerned about the small market team. You're the flyover market. So it's okay. If you want to be pissed off, if you're looking for that, now as a fan, I don't know why you as a fan choose that. As a fan, I would just, watch something better. Listen to something better. There's a lot of content. Find it. There's a lot of content that isn't performative, that isn't geared towards specifically the larger markets or just saying anything for the sake of saying it. I would find that better, X's and O's. The matchup show is pretty good on a high level, on the ESPN level. There are other shows locally, nationally, that I think do a much better job of tapping into, something genuine. But for the team, if it works for them, it works for them. Me personally, I don't care. I don't care what you say. But if it works for them and if it gives them that emotional edge, God bless. Tap into it. Dan Wilcox brings up Michael Jordan, right? Like, you could walk to Michael Jordan and say, did you just wake up? He said, what, you think I just woke up? You think I just woke up? When he literally just woke up. Is that what you think of me? You think I sleep in all the time? Is that what you think? And he would use it that way. Steve Smith was that way, and it was exhausting for me. Like, it was just exhausting. Dealing with Steve Smith was always a bit much. Like, dude, not everything. I think I've told the story famously that one day somebody asked me what I thought after the Ravens acquired Steve Smith. I said, exactly what do you think his role is going to be? And what I said was, I haven't been out to practice. I haven't seen how they've lined him up. I don't know what his role is going to be. And I don't know what his role is going to be. He, lost it.
Said, you don't think I belong in this offense?
Bro, what the F? What? Am I losing my mind? Listen to what I said. I said I haven't been out there. I haven't had a chance to see it yet. I don't know what Steve's... I don't know. Oh, you don't know what my role is going to be? You don't know. You don't play foot, Mike. What the... But if it works to get an emotional edge... And I even said this about Steve Smith. I'm like, I hope that Steve Smith takes this nothing burger and uses it to go have the best season of his life. If it works to get an emotional edge, then God bless. I always think that's dangerous. I always think there's a line in which it goes from emotional edge to kind of losing focus, but this team doesn't seem to have that issue. They seem to channel it all in a pretty positive way. And maybe they want to hear, to this point, maybe they want to hear more people disrespecting them going into the Dolphins game. Yeah, that was good, but that doesn't really matter. Maybe that's what they need. I don't care. Not my thing. It's not my concern what Mike Florio or anyone else says about the Ravens. The games. I know how good the Ravens are. I've watched the games. Other people haven't. That's cool. I had no problem with the fact that Brock Purdy was high in the MVP conversation because the MVP isn't really the story of who's the best football player. I think a lot of people took that and said, are you saying that Brock Purdy's a better football player than Lamar Jackson, which, again, would be patently absurd. But it's not. It's who's having the best season. And you could say Brock Purdy, they were winning a lot of games. He was doing a lot of good things, no problem. But if that pissed people off, and if that led to some of the then God bless. Whatever it takes to get that emotional edge. No Stan the Fan show this week. He's taking the week off. See, I told you, we're working. Even if I'm just working, we're working.
Stan might take this.
Right? Maybe he'll get the emotional edge he needs to go have the best year of shows this coming year.
Every single day.
Yeah, Stan's taking the well-deserved week off. He's actually going to be filling in a little bit for me here in a couple weeks when my family is taking a trip. Scheduled it could really use the Ravens clinching that number 1 seed, so it doesn't look silly that I'm taking a week off in the playoffs. It'd really be appreciated. It would feel really nice if I happened to plan it out perfectly for a bye week. Legacy game for me coming up on Sunday. But Stan will be back with you in 2024, and we'll continue to do 2 shows every week. Just no shows this week because of the holidays. When we come back in, we're going to recap picks. And I hear maybe a guest is going to join us to help us recap picks for the week.
I think so, yeah.
Wow.
It's gonna be,
we don't normally have a guest for our picks recap segment.
Yeah.
This is very normally sometimes we have guest pickers, but we don't normally have guest recappers. So this should be fun. I look forward to this. We'll recap picks next. It's Glenn Clark Radio. Hey Ravens fans, looking for the perfect new game day brew? Get a Guilford, Baltimore's finest craft beer during the next home game at the bank. That's not all. Gather your flock next home game and check out Guilford Hall Brewery's brand new bar, the Gilly Nest, located near Section 505. No tickets? No problem. Enjoy all Ravens games all season long at our restaurant and brewery in Station North. Guilford Hall Brewery, European tradition, Baltimore charm.
Come for a game, stay for everything else. Book an unforgettable fall getaway in Charm City. Enjoy only in Baltimore festivals, mouthwatering eats, and endless entertainment. Treat yourself to a staycation in the heart of downtown, or try one of the city's many charming neighborhood hotels. And don't miss out on packages for free parking, breakfast, and more. Plan your stay at baltimore.org/hotels.
Why bet with the big boys this football season? Instead, try your hand with the local book, Superbook Sports, this fall. Superbook Sports is the book next door. Just a dedicated team of the best odds makers in Las Vegas, making sure you get the best prices and parlays anywhere. And now, Superbook will give you a bonus of up to $250 when you sign up and wager on the same day and use the promo code GlennClark23, GLENNCLARK23. So bet with the best and use the promo code GlennClark23 this football season with Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
6 chicken tenders made from fresh, never frozen Royal Farms world-famous chicken, a family-sized order of Western fries, honey mustard dipping sauce, and a 2-liter bottle of Dr. Pepper. It's Royal Farms' new Tucker's Tenders Meal. It's Justin Tucker's favorite, and at only $19.99, it'll be your favorite meal, too. The new Tucker's Tenders Meal, available only at Royal Farms. Now you can kick back, relax, and eat like a champion. Real fresh, real fast, Royal Farms.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Brace yourselves for an unparalleled game day experience at the new Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbook in Canton and Towson. Experience the thrill of live, in-person betting with Baltimore's only state-of-the-art Vegas viewing TV experience. Choose between a person-to-person experience with their on-site tellers or the convenience of their self-bet kiosks to place your bets. Gather your betting buddies and head over to the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks today. Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks in Towson and Canton, the ultimate destination for game day excitement, great food, and live in-person betting. Must be 21. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Go to mdgamblinghelp.org.
What company has the expertise to make your home healthier by purifying your air and killing all viruses, allergens, and bacteria? A.J. Michaels, Heating and Air Conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis. AJMichaels.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
Make sure you're tuned in every Tuesday for PressBox Fantasy Football Analyst Joe Serpico to get you ready for your Waiver Wire Wednesday, brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel. And if you have other fantasies you want fulfilled, subscribe to Glenn and Jeremy Kahn's OnlyFans page at... Wait, are people supposed to know about that?
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Tuesday edition of the program. If you have not picked up the print issue of PressBox yet, it is our very special Best of 2023 edition. And it is available for free at your neighborhood Royal Farms, any of the hundreds of locations around town where you find PressBox. You can read it all at PressBoxOnline.com. On the cover, we celebrate the 2023 Baltimore Orioles as the team of the year with Brandon Hyde, our Mo Gabba Sports Person of the Year. Go pick that up again for free right now. Unfortunately, as we recognize inside the edition, the top performances, people, and moments of the year, it was a little bit too late for us to squeeze in last night. I feel like maybe we have to go add an addendum because it was a hell of a performance last night. But go pick up that best of issue of PressBox today. All right, so Griffin, we don't normally have, when we do picks recap on Mondays, and we're doing a Monday show on a Tuesday because the Ravens played last night and the holiday, we don't normally have like a guest involved with the picks recap segment. What's this? Why would you? Well,
so I guess on the holiday show, I mean, you may not remember because you were.
I was a little bit toasty. I was not. It was not the performance that I've had some years on the holiday drinking show where. But I was still, and I was a little bit beyond everybody else, mostly because I don't drink anymore. So like alcohol just affects me in different ways these days. I know we had the pick segment. I couldn't remember who I picked.
Good news.
I couldn't believe when I found out that I picked the Chiefs. I'm like, the Chiefs never cover big numbers. Why? I didn't expect them to lose, but why did I pick them? So you're telling me that we allowed other people in this week.
That is correct. Yeah, we had a couple extra guest pickers actually.
Okay, Dennis Shockett.
Dennis Shockett was here singing along,
and Tim Barbalace, who was here in studio with us. He also got in on picks for the week.
That's correct. Yeah.
Well, and now Tim's joining us to recap picks.
That is correct. Yeah, because Tim, I don't think it was because he had a really good week.
No. He didn't win the week.
No, he did not. He did not win the week.
Well, let's find out what happened. Good morning, Tim Barbalace. How are you, pal?
Do we have to do this?
Oh, I don't know. This is Griffin's idea. I don't know. We'll see what happens when we go over this. First of all, thank you for coming and joining us last week. That was, as I remember, a great deal of fun.
It was. No, I'm down to run it back every year for the holiday drinking party.
I would encourage before next year that you've listened to more of the Tenacious D discography. I would encourage. I didn't know that's where the morning was going to take us, but I'm really glad it did. I thought it really just tied everything together in kind of a beautiful way, particularly after the abomination that was my attempt at rewriting Fairy Tale of New York for a bunch of people that had never heard the song before.
Well, was it? You did a good job.
Read a book.
Did a good job rewriting it.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, so I appreciated you coming in. That was an awful lot of fun. So thank you for doing that. And in the future, hopefully, Chuck will let you get drunk. All right, now you got in for picks this week. We roped you in, and you understood that there was a side bet for the week, correct? Like there was no ambiguity about what was going on. Well, let's just kind of go over it quickly, right? I got everything in front of me. The first game we picked was Saints-Rams, and Tim, you got that one. You got that one right? Like everybody else, it's
downhill from there.
You took the Rams, and the Rams, of course, they cruised on Thursday night, and only Jeremy Kahn and Dennis Shockett, because he basically just took all of Jeremy's picks. Only Jeremy Kahn was on the Saints, so all good there, right? Bengals Steelers. Ooh, this was a big miss for a lot of us. Not only did the Steelers cover, they won outright. In fact, they won going away. We were out on Saturday night, took the kids to see the lights, and we were watching the game at the establishment. We were at Mount Washington Tavern beforehand. And my son just kept looking up like, Dad, they just scored again. I'm like, oh, God, rough. Brutal. So it wasn't just you that was on the Bengals. A lot of us were. Griffin was, Paul was, myself. It was a lot of Bengals. John Proctor, KZ, I mean, almost everybody except for Andrew Stecca, Jeremy Kahn, and Dennis Shockett. So no big deal. No big deal. All good, right? We're all good. Colts Falcons.
Yeah.
Yeesh. I don't. How did you do so badly this week? How is that possible? Because I'm looking, and you were on the Falcons. You called this. What?
Okay.
So you're 2-1 through 3 games.
This is where it goes bad.
That's a stunning
I'm
pick.
assuming.
I couldn't believe what happened in that game. The Falcons obviously throttled the Colts in that one. Then
the Falcons stink, but like at home they're at least not as terrible.
They remember they have
kind of
football
my
players, and they decide to give the ball to those football. It's just a hell of an idea. Maybe they should do it on the road sometime.
It is.
Lions Vikings. You were riding the Nick Mullins train in that one. That didn't go quite as well for you. So what you're down to 2-2. Then Browns Texans. Did you think that C.J. Stroud was miraculously going to come back and play in the game? Or what was going on there?
Look, Joe struggled in games in Houston, so I was thinking, you know what, maybe they'll keep it close. I don't know. Then, of course, he just threw for 1 billion yards.
Joe Flacco looked like
2
the
seconds.
league MVP on Sunday.
Yes, he did.
All right, no big
Yes,
deal.
he
It's
did.
2-3. You can still get it back. Still a
No.
lot of time to go. Jaguars Bucks. I got this one wrong too, for what it's worth. We weren't alone. I think a lot of us still thought there was an outside chance that Trevor Lawrence was going to play in the game, and didn't want to believe in the Bucks. And it goes. So you're 2-4. No big deal. No big deal. Again, it happens. Ooh, Dolphins Cowboys. This one. You got right. You got right.
Yeah.
You got it back.
Yeah.
You got it
I
back.
did.
You were right. It's 3-4.
Okay.
All's good. All's good here.
Yeah.
Except Chiefs Raiders, which, by the way, most everybody also got wrong. I got talked into. I do remember this moment. I was explaining why the Chiefs never cover a big number, and then Jeremy said something like, "So what, you going to pick the Raiders?" And then I was like, "Oh, well, if Jeremy says I shouldn't, then I probably shouldn't." So I kind of feel stupid for that one, so I also picked the Chiefs. But hey, right, 3-5, you can still get back to 4-5.
Sure.
All's good. All you have to do.
Yeah. Pick the Niners.
I don't know if you had heard, because nobody was really talking about it. Lamar Jackson, I don't know if you're familiar with his work, going into last 19-1 against the NFC. 19-1 against the NFC.
Yeah.
And was getting 5.5 points. So obviously, all you had to do was just file away a pick for the Baltimore Ravens, and everything would be just fine.
Not to be. Did not happen. I did say it would be a 1-score game.
But you were wrong about that. It was not a one-score game. So if you're looking for a bonus point here, you wouldn't get it. It was not a one-score game, Tim. I don't know if you saw the final score.
I didn't pull a Mike Florio and say that
that's true.
They would get their bleep kicked.
Mike Floors is
I thought it was going to be a good game.
Yeah. Well, it was a good game for one of the teams.
Yes.
Tim went with the 49ers. So when I woke up this morning, and when John Proctor went to bed last night, because we didn't put Tim, we have an internal tracking sheet for everybody in our league, Tim. And so when we looked at the tracking sheet last night, we saw that Paul Valley, Griffin, and John Proctor were all tied for the low man on the totem pole. And we were like, that'll be great for us. All these guys during the week will have to eat some spaghetti with ranch. And then Griffin, wise man, because he already owes us another bet that he hasn't paid off yet. Griffin came in today and said, he did the Lee Corso. He was like, not so fast, my friend. Went back, did the math. And at 3-6, the low man on the totem pole this week was indeed Tim Barbalace. What do you have to say for yourself, pal?
Oh, I'm embarrassed. I'm ashamed. I'm so disappointed. And look, I deserve it. Losing this week because I won against Lamar Jackson, who was 19-1
against the NFC. 19-1
against the NFC.
Not like there was any sort of track record there, like that. Really just an anomaly at that point. 19-1.
Well,
yeah.
Well, if he would have been 20-1 at that point, I probably would have went for him.
Yeah.
But the 19.
Well,
I wanted a round number.
Obviously, they had to win by so many points that Oh, no, they were 5.5-point dogs. Oh. Wow. All right, so here's the deal.
I mean, ranch on top of pasta.
Yeah, this is the way it's gonna go. I know you're living like the swinging bachelor life. I assume that you're capable of making yourself some spaghetti, right? Like you can do that.
Yes.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
So the question is when, where, those types of things. Because obviously we'd love to have you come by and do it here. But if you wanted to do it, say, on your own show or, whatever, I'd let you get away with that. So we got to
come in.
Okay, I'll let you and Griffin work out the details. This is, for those that don't remember, last week on the Tyus Bowser show, we learned a disturbing detail. You guys know how much I love Tyus, one of my favorite human beings. He sent me an incredibly nice note yesterday. Really, really sweet of him. I love Tyus. But disturbingly, we learned when Tyus said, I put ranch on everything, I said, what do you mean everything? And he said, like normal stuff, like spaghetti, to which I said, what? And as I am to understand, it is very simple. The noodles down on the plate, meat sauce on top of the noodles, and then you squeeze a bunch of ranch on top of the meat sauce. So, Tim Barbalace, that is what you are charged with, my friend. You will need to make some spaghetti and just squeeze a bunch of ranch, and then you got to eat the whole plate. That's the deal. All right?
The whole plate?
Yes. You don't just get a bite. Anybody could do that. Rita was going to do that just for funsies. You got to eat the whole plate in order to pay off the penalty. Also, since you lost in your first weekend, you want to join our Picks League next year?
Sure.
Oh, great. Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful news.
I'm
wonderful,
in there.
Wonderful. We might be allowing Andrew Stecca to retire from our Picks League after this year, so that'll be perfect. All right, so I'll let you and Griffin work out the details of when you're going to do this. We look forward to it a great deal. And again, any week that you want to hop until your fortunes change, any week you want to hop in, pal, we'd love to deal you in. That we've got side bets going on. What's coming up on Inside Access this week?
Well, I guess we're going to be breaking down just a minor victory for the Ravens over the 49ers.
Yeah.
We got Mark Flair
who could have possibly seen that coming?
Yeah, oh my gosh, especially in that fashion, 5 interceptions. I mean, just Mike McDonald is, the second the Ravens are done this year, he's going to get multiple interviews. But we got Mark Schlereth on the show today, Jonas Schaefer, Cordell Woodland. We're going to be breaking down the game every which way you can. Got Baltimore Football Daily immediately following Inside Access. Continue to talk about this big Ravens win, and come by.
Look forward to it. That's 105.7 The Fan. I look forward to seeing you in here and smelling the delicious culinary concoction that is some Tyus Bowser spaghetti whenever we can make that happen. Tim Barbalace, love you, buddy. That was fun. We'll talk soon, all right?
I'll see you.
Tim Barbalace, 105.7 The Fan. Yeah, Tim was our loser this week. Didn't go so great for Tim. Did not go so great as Picks Recap, by the way, brought to you by your local Toyota dealer, buyatoyota.com. The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines, so you can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today. The real problem, as I said, we might have to allow Andrew Stecca to retire. For the most part, everybody went 4-5 or 5-4. Tim was the low water mark at 3-6.
Thank goodness.
But at 6-3, Ken Zales had a nice week. At 7-2, Andrew Stecca is now creating separation at the top of the table. Andrew Stecca is now 3 games clear of myself, John and Little Rock, and KZ. And we told Andrew Stecca that if he won the league, he was allowed to quit. So I'm a little bit nervous with just 2 weeks left in the regular season. I'm a bit apprehensive about what this looks like moving forward. So we'll see. Also, keep in mind, what night is the championship game this year?
The college football.
Yeah.
So it's Monday.
So because we're not going to have a 6-game or a 7-game playoff week because the championship is next Monday.
Yeah.
No, not it's the following.
It's like
Monday,
week 18.
But it's during an NFL regular
Mm-hmm.
season week. So the following week, we're just into 6 games for the playoffs, and then 4. We don't get the benefit of also having a championship game that week, which we used to get when there was a 17-game regular season. You could steal an extra. Not the case any longer. So just keep that in mind. Just keep it in mind. Andrew Stecca with a little separation. Jeremy's no closer to Griffin. Jeremy went 4-5. So did Griffin, 4-5. Paul Valley, no further away from Griffin. Kyle Ottenheimer actually made up a game on Griffin, so now Paul and Kyle are both 7 games clear of Griffin for Scott Stat position. Griffin dramatically running out of time to avoid having to be the one to go to the Creed show, but Jeremy's still. It is pure hopeless. 18 games off the pace for having to do the Irish dance and eat the haggis, the tripe, and the blood sausage, and consume a Will Levis Irish coffee. Perform Nothing Compares to You and Zombie. Jeremy will be doing that. That is our picks recap for the week. Now, you want to go ahead and do pats on the ass since we're here,
I
right?
guess so.
Or do you want to take a break and then we do pats on the ass?
I guess we'll break. And then
We could work this out. We could be out of here at about noon today. I don't want to ruin anything. This is when you get a text that says like, "Oh, this person has to come on today." And we could get out of here, and I could start getting my way to making those bacon wrapped jalapenos.
Yeah.
That's the most important part of my day. All right, so when we come back in, we will indeed dive into pats on the ass. A lot of you have been cheating today, and in fairness, Forrester actually was funny when he cheated today. Most everybody else is just cheating for cheating's sake. There's been a lot of cheating. I understand. There's a lot of people we want to praise.
Tayshaun Gibson, that one drive.
100% worthy of praise. Forrester said Mike Florio number 1, which was not you know what? His shtick typically way worse. Way worse. I got to give him that. So you know the rules. 5 Ravens. 2 have to be offensive players. 2 have to be defensive players. 1 wild card, either another offensive player, another defensive player, a special teams player, or a coach. The coach was very popular this week. Rank them 5-1, with the 1 being your man of the match. Hit me up at Glenn Clark Radio on Twitter with who you got. We'll go over ours next. It is a Tuesday edition of GCR. Hey Ravens fans, looking for the perfect new game day brew? Get a Guilford, Baltimore's finest craft beer during the next home game at the bank. That's not all. Gather your flock next home game and check out Guilford Hall Brewery's brand new bar, the Gilly Nest, located near Section 505. No tickets? No problem. Enjoy all Ravens games all season long at our restaurant and brewery in Station North. Guilford Hall Brewery, European tradition, Baltimore charm.
Come for a game, stay for everything else. Book an unforgettable fall getaway in Charm City. Enjoy only in Baltimore festivals, mouthwatering eats, and endless entertainment. Treat yourself to a staycation in the heart of downtown, or try one of the city's many charming neighborhood hotels. And don't miss out on packages for free parking, breakfast, and more. Plan your stay at baltimore.org/hotels.
Why bet with the big boys this football season? Instead, try your hand with the local book, Superbook Sports, this fall. Superbook Sports is the book next door. Just a dedicated team of the best odds makers in Las Vegas, making sure you get the best prices and parlays anywhere. And now, Superbook will give you a bonus of up to $250 when you sign up and wager on the same day and use the promo code GlennClark23, GLENNCLARK23. So bet with the best and use the promo code GlennClark23 this football season with Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
6 chicken tenders made from fresh, never frozen Royal Farms world-famous chicken, a family-sized order of Western fries, honey mustard dipping sauce, and a 2-liter bottle of Dr. Pepper. It's Royal Farms' new Tucker's Tenders Meal. It's Justin Tucker's favorite, and at only $19.99, it'll be your favorite meal, too. The new Tucker's Tenders Meal, available only at Royal Farms. Now you can kick back, relax, and eat like a champion. Real fresh, real fast, Royal Farms.
Gambling can be a fun and entertaining experience, but there are risks involved. If you're planning on betting on the game at the casino or on your phone or computer, know your limit, stay within it. Set a budget and a time to stop. Remember, gambling isn't a financial solution, and it doesn't mix well with alcohol or drugs. Know the risks and have a plan before you begin gambling. For free and confidential services, call 1-800-GAMBLER 24/7 or go to helpmygamblingproblem.org.
Brace yourselves for an unparalleled game day experience at the new Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbook in Canton and Towson. Experience the thrill of live, in-person betting with Baltimore's only state-of-the-art Vegas viewing TV experience. Choose between a person-to-person experience with their on-site tellers or the convenience of their self-bet kiosks to place your bets. Gather your betting buddies and head over to the Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks today. Green Turtle Bet Park Sportsbooks in Towson and Canton, the ultimate destination for game day excitement, great food, and live in-person betting. Must be 21. Please play responsibly. Gambling problem? Go to mdgamblinghelp.org.
What company has the expertise to make your home healthier by purifying your air and killing all viruses, allergens, and bacteria? A.J. Michaels, Heating and Air Conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis. ajmichaels.com.
Make the most out of every day in your Toyota RAV4. Available in hybrid or gas-only models. A RAV4 can get you where you want to go in style. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new RAV4s from your local Toyota dealer today.
Make sure you tuned in every Tuesday for PressBox Fantasy Football Analyst Joe Serpico to get you ready for your Waiver Wire Wednesday, brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel. And if you have other fantasies you want fulfilled, subscribe to Glenn and Jeremy Kahn's OnlyFans page at... Wait, are people supposed to know about that?
All right, back in here on GCR as we continue along on a Tuesday edition of the program. And Joe Serpico will join us later on this hour to get you ready for Championship Week, which I'll be participating in, and Joe Serpico won't in the Press Box League. So have to deal with that as well. We got to clean up that.
Lucky you didn't play me this week.
Oh, yeah? Were you?
I had Amari Cooper, of course. So
you weren't in the playoffs, Griffin. So
no, I was in the playoffs, but yes, I lost last week because
you weren't in
Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, you weren't in the Final Four.
Sorry. Would have had a big week this week.
It's me and KZ.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's a
tight
heavyweight
Titanic showdown, yeah, right? Kind of like Ravens 49ers in the championship of the Press Box League. And then I did make the finals in the other league, so I'm in 2 finals. And in the other league,
stressful.
In the Ryan Ripken's league, I didn't make the playoffs at all. Missed by 10 points. And then my team, of course, came to life immediately after. Just the way it goes. But, yeah, I had nearly had a disaster on my hands yesterday because I was busy doing Christmas things in the morning and did not get the alert that Josh Jacobs was out until 1:02.
Yeah, I was texting KZ. I was like, I don't know. I was like, do I start Justice Hill? Do I start Zamir White? And
would you start White?
I did.
Yeah,
it
smart.
Worked out.
I made peace with the fact that I was going to lose because of the Josh Jacobs thing because he still had Brock Purdy to go last night.
And?
Well, as it turns out,
that guy didn't do.
No,
thought he was an MVP.
Brock Purdy late, into the second half, had negative points. Deep into the second half, I think he ended up finishing with like 4. But deep into the second half, it was better that I took a 0 from Josh Jacobs than if I had played Brock Purdy. Wild. But yeah, so I advanced in that one as well. Good day. We'll talk more about it about the Waiver Wire Wednesday anyway, with our buddy Joe Serpico in just a few minutes. Right now, let's dish out some pats on the ass. Pats on the ass are brought to you by the Tyus Bowser Show. Final Tyus Bowser Show of the regular season, 1 week from tonight. We return to Mother's North Grill in Timonium, where we'll be joined by Tyus and a special guest. Find out more, PressBoxOnline.com/Bowser. The Tyus Bowser Show is a partnership of PressBox and Grade 8's Memorabilia. It's brought to you by A.J. Michaels, Superbook Sports, and HelpMyGamblingProblem.org. You know the deal. We talked about it in the last segment. 5 Ravens. I begin. Number 5 for me. I know it was very difficult for me between Isaiah Likely and Zay Flowers. Like, as far as the second offensive player was concerned, it was hard to choose. And I get it. Zay Flowers is probably going to be most people's choice. And I'm not going to be mad about that at all. I'm not going to be mad about much of anything. The Ravens went to San Francisco and beat the 49ers soundly. What the hell am I going to be mad about today? But I just can't get over the quality of the play that Isaiah Likely made, pinning the ball against his leg. I can't. It's insane how good that play was and what he has proven to be in the absence of Mark Andrews. It's truly, to me, spectacular. So I understand everybody else is going to go Zay, but I'm going my number 5 is Isaiah Likely.
With my number 5, again, it was like because I wanted to put like the entire defensive line. So I'll go with a guy that we don't typically put on these lists, and he had the best statistical night I think of anyone. Brent Urban, is my number 5.
I'm fine with it.
He had a fantastic night.
It means you left somebody else off your list that I'm not going to be okay with.
Yeah, I know.
But
like it was one of those nights, I think, and
a night. You mean that there were a lot of people that deserve some?
Yes.
Yes, I just think that. When I figure out which of these two guys you left off your list and which guy I'm going to blow a gasket about, there's just no way that I can compare Brent Urban's night to two of these other people's night. But we'll get to it.
Well, you're not like my list tonight.
Why do we have to? I just said
I'm not trying to like piss you off, but like this is Brent Urban. I think deserves to be on some lists.
No, but
yes, he does.
He doesn't. If we did a
does.
list of like 10 guys, he would deserve to be on the list. Brent Urban had a nice night, but we can't pretend like Brent Urban was a dominant force in the football game. I love Brent Urban. I love him. My number 4 is where I put Mike McDonald. I get it. If you put him higher, all good. I put him at number 4 because I just think the players matter significantly, but what a night it was for Mike McDonald. He's my number 4.
My number 4 was Isaiah Likely. Again, I felt it was very tough to leave Zay Flowers off, but for the same reason. I mean, he had probably the two biggest catch, the knee catch and then the stiff-arming that guy directly into the ground. Just kind of, setting the tone for what this Ravens team is, despite, no Mark Andrews, the consensus best pass catcher on the team, and Isaiah Likely stepping right in, even though he only had 3 catches, but two of them felt like they were worth 5 catches.
My number 3, I feel so strongly about what this guy did last night that to me there's an argument for him to be number 1. He only had 1 of the interceptions, but he was so active and so involved. And other than when he put that hit on Deebo Samuel in the backfield and couldn't bring him down, Marlon Humphrey was brilliant last night. Marlon Humphrey was dominant. You talk about setting a tone. Marlon Humphrey came out flying around the field like he was trying to make up for everything that occurred earlier on in the season in one night. Marlon Humphrey was a boss last night. It was bonkers how sharp that dude was. And, again, statistically, it only bore out the 1 interception, although, again, also bore out a deflection that turned into another interception. My God, Marlon Humphrey was a man possessed last night. It was like he took it all personally this season. Like he was just all waiting to come out. May this be the Marlon Humphrey that we see for the remainder of the year, because that was special last night. Marlon Humphrey is my number 3.
So he would not make my list.
Because
it was a great. Sliding over to slot and just. It was a really great game for Marlon Humphrey.
It was a great.
I feel like I had to include
Humphrey.
Someone from the defensive line.
All right,
and
let's just move on. I don't want to fight. It's the holidays.
My number 3, I put John Harbaugh here because I wanted to put the entire coaching staff, and this has been an incredible stretch that they put together in all facets, and he's the guy coordinating and leading everything. He's the leader of this team. So John Harbaugh, he's doing. How did KZ try to fire him last night? I did not.
I just wanted to give him credit. I said, Ken, could you? Ken got very defensive last night. I've never said he wasn't a leader. I'm like, right, but you're not giving him credit. Like, you're deflecting. There's a lot of subterfuge happening. What you're not doing is saying he deserves credit. And I talked about this at the beginning of the show. Like, to me, for whatever time you want to beat John Harbaugh about something, he deserves credit. Like, last night is a John Harbaugh masterclass. Now, I get it. He's going to screw things up, and he did ultimately, get a. But the challenge he got wrong last night, you knew what was happening there. The 49ers have built up momentum on that drive.
Defense is not wearing down, but
it's late in the game, right? Like there's a 1 in 10 chance that you get another angle that you haven't seen yet, and all of a sudden you're like, oh no, he really didn't get that. Although I think they got the call right from the get. There's a 1 in 10 chance of something like that happening, and there's a 10 in 10 chance that you could kind of use the timeout anyway. And I know this is going to sound strange, but I think it's a coaching thing where your players react differently to you throwing a challenge flag. You throw you call a timeout there, it's almost like you're telling them, hey, you're gassed.
Mm-hmm.
This allows you to both accomplish it without saying openly to your players, you're getting your ass kicked right now. I'm not trying to say that John Harbaugh was playing chess while everybody else was playing checkers. I will reserve that for my 6-year-old who, if you missed it, I took him to the movies on Friday night, and we stopped at Chick-fil-A on the way, and he asked me to order him a chocolate milk, and then he requested a second chocolate milk, and I turned to him and said, what? And he said, I'm going to sneak it into the movie theater. It's my backup plan. And I said, you son of a...
You were like, actually, we should get 3
You're a
chocolate
genius. Oh, my God. And then all night as we were walking to the movie theater, Dad, do you have my backup plan? I got you, bro. Then we get in. He's like, I got to pull out my backup plan. Like, he kept referring to it as a backup plan. I'm like, God, I love you. I love you so much.
So that was
You're
the solution
awesome.
to the Friday.
The Friday conundrum was we went to the Towson game.
Oh.
We got a lot of our 5-cent popcorn. Couldn't have gotten more 5-cent popcorn. Towson had a much less difficult time with nickels than Maryland did, although it's not like Towson played all that well. Like there was, my father and I pulled up the 3-point stats at one point during the game. And the teams were combining to shoot about 18% from 3. It was a rough. Somebody else who was in attendance at the game sent me a message and said, This is one of the most lethargic basketball games I've ever seen. And they were right, but Towson was always in control. It was fun, had a great time, and went over and, like ballers, ordered like 10 5-cent popcorns. We're like carrying them all back. And because we got there early, we got them in commemorative Towson University color-changing bowls.
Really?
5 cents. And we got a color-changing bowl. When we walked outside
Why are we not?
and into the cold, the kids had watched the bowl change colors and were losing their minds about it.
Why are we not marketing this better?
I
This
swear,
is, like,
this to me,
this saves.
huge. Look, man, I love. Everybody knows I love Towson. They're not spending any money with us. We would have happily been talking about it. I mean, I talked about it anyway. Everybody over there knows I love them. Can only talk about it so much because you gotta buy some advertising in order to get that. That's the way that it goes. Although I don't know, maybe they bought advertising with Pressbox and then I'll feel like a jerk. But had a great time, and then my older son went to his birthday party. My younger son and I went and saw Migration. Yeah, he wanted to go to Dave & Buster's. I didn't. When we go to Dave & Buster's, all of a sudden that tab gets up to about $100 real quick, and that's without food. So I was like, maybe we go to the movies instead. What do you think about the movies tonight, boy? And he was like, yeah. And he wanted to see Migration. I gave him the choice between Migration and Wonka. I said we can go to either one. Kind of hoping he chose Wonka just because I wanted to see it, right?
Yeah.
I didn't really care about Migration.
They've been pushing Migration hard, though.
Migration is adorable. It's adorable.
It's no Puss in Boots.
I don't actually love Puss in Boots.
Well, yeah.
I really
Oh, you did? Wait, you didn't?
I really didn't.
Oh.
I really didn't like Puss. I know the kids love it. Like, to me, it was fine. Maybe if I'd seen it in the movie theater, I'd feel differently about it. But, like, this was very sweet. And then being, like, if you kind of understand the concept of the film, being there with my son, watching it, like, adds another layer to it. It was, and the whole backup plan thing. Which is just, I was so effing proud of that kid, man. Dude,
He's going to be number 1 on the list, isn't he?
Yeah, right? God, he is a genius. Genius. All right, who's your number 3?
Harbaugh was my number 3.
Yeah, number 3.
Yes.
Yeah, number 3. I wanted a little praise for John Harbaugh last night. Couldn't get it out of Casey. He just wanted to deflect and to be defensive. Number 2 is where I put Lamar. Lamar to me, number 2 last night. If you flip-flop these two guys, I completely understand it, but to me the tone was set by the defense, and so the other guy to me is number 1. Lamar was great, though. Obviously, he was phenomenal, and Lamar's my number 2.
Yeah, I went the other way. I had Hamilton as my number 2. I kept flip flopping it too, but I felt like Lamar, kind of. I mean, he closed the case on this MVP race.
Yeah, I mean, let's revisit.
But I mean, Kyle Hamilton.
Let's revisit that next week, right?
Yeah,
let's have that conversation again next week. Did he close the case? He made the most declarative statement that anyone could. And in part, Brock Purdy closed the case.
Well, maybe the other guy, Kyle Hamilton.
Kyle Hamilton to me is number 1.
I mean, the play where
he's on the ground. It's comical. Like when you we watched it again during game day last night. I'm like, what is this? He's completely out of the – he is a non-factor in the play. When you first saw it, you were like, wait, same guy? Every time you watch it.
This wasn't 2 plays before. This was that play?
Like
yeah,
him,
like,
he's the one on the ground, out of the play entirely, and then he's the one that makes the interception.
He gets chop blocked, then laid on top of. And
I mean, utterly and completely out of the play.
It's Ed Reed stuff. I mean,
it is so next level, man. It is just so next level. Kyle Hamilton, number one to me, and just what's funny? I haven't looked at like Defensive Player of the Year odds anywhere.
On the IG Live, Marlon was calling him. He said, "I heard."
It's so funny because I feel like that's become just an edge rusher award. Like the same way that MVP has just been a quarterback award. I feel like it's just who's the guy that has the most sacks. Who's the maybe somebody will point out. I don't pay a lot of attention. I don't know.
I mean, there's obviously a ton of traction for Micah Parsons and Myles Garrett early.
Well, and if you know what, Micah Parsons' edge rush win rate is like 10% higher than anybody else in the league. So I'm not. This isn't really about who's most deserving of Defensive Player of the Year because I guess it's not just an edge rush award because Aaron Donald's technically not an edge rusher, but like we know that part of Aaron Donald's story is he also rushes. So the last time a defensive back won,
Stephon Gilmore won it.
I forgot that Stephon Gilmore won it. So he's the only one in the last decade.
And does he have a stronger case? I mean, Deron Bland, I guess, just because he had that run.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy, but I also feel like people have noticed that when he's not getting a pick six, he's
kind of getting
kind of vulnerable.
Kind of Marcus Peters.
Like it's a very weird bit with Deron Bland. We're like, yes, he's having a very good season, but also, is he having a very good season? So it was Nick Bosa last year, T.J. Watt the year before, Aaron Donald, then Stephon Gilmore, Aaron Donald the 2 years prior to that, Khalil Mack, J.J. Watt 3 of the previous 4 years with Luke Kuechly mixed in, Terrell Suggs in 11, then you have to go back to 2010 when Troy Polamalu won. It was Charles Woodson the year before that, so you had back-to-back and 3 out of 4 because Bob Sanders in 2007. So for the stretch 2007 to 2010, 3 out of 4 were won by defensive backs. But since then, just one defensive back has won Defensive Player of the Year. I'm not trying to tell you that Kyle Hamilton is Defensive Player of the Year. It's just weird that it's never come up. And it goes back to what we've talked about, which is it's been difficult to define Kyle Hamilton's stardom. We've used the statistic about TFLs and past defenses, but it's not like either one of those is so overwhelming. It's not like we're talking about somebody with 50 TFLs or somebody with 37. Like it's just. I don't know that we know enough about the numbers to know. It's not like when you bring up somebody who's in the 30-30 club, for example, in baseball, and you're like, wow, we know he's having a special season because he's gone 30-30, even though 30 home runs alone is not overwhelming or 30 stolen bases alone isn't overwhelming. But, like, when you do both, we're like, wow. Like, that's the Cedric Mullins seasons from a few years ago. We're like, dude, that's special. Like, people don't just do that. It's difficult for us to define Kyle Hamilton's greatness, but Jesus, man. Like, he was having a good season. That's even the crazier part to me. Kyle Hamilton was having a very good season, and then suddenly in the last couple of weeks has, like, turned it up to 75. He's gone from 8 to $1 billion over the last month. It's crazy how good Kyle Hamilton has been. So, yeah, I went Kyle Hamilton number 1. If you went Lamar number 1, I'll beat up Griffin about something else. In fact, the only real issue I have with the list was Marlon Humphrey not being on it in favor of Brent Urban. Love Brent. Love him. Great guy. Had a very good game. Just, you see Marlon Humphrey.
The crowded defense. He had one of the great games.
In my write-up, it says Marlon Humphrey set the edge both literally and figuratively. And I feel that we saw the play where he set the edge on the outside, and he, to me, provided the edge.
If he had tackled Debo, he no doubt would have been on my list.
That was the difference.
Yeah, it was.
It's a heck of a lick, too. Got a heck of a lick. Just didn't get him on the Debo Samuel's a different cat.
It was.
Man.
The IG Live is great, because everyone was like, how was that bouncing off that?
That's great. All right, that's Pats on the Ass. We'll get him up at glennclarkradio.com a little bit later on. We'll come back in and get you ready for we were going to get you ready for Waiver Wire Wednesday. Joe Serpico. This is that weird, we're doing a Monday/Tuesday version of the show. Joe Serpico, for the final time in fantasy football season, will join us. Did you prepare the montage of of all Joe Serpico's finest moments with Sarah McLachlan playing in the background. I will remember you.
Remember when he told you to pick up
Yeah.
Puka, you know?
We'll
Williams?
We'll do that next. It's Glenn Clark Radio. Why bet with the big boys this football season? Instead, try your hand with the local book, Superbook Sports, this fall. Superbook Sports is the book next door. Just a dedicated team of the best odds makers in Las Vegas, making sure you get the best prices and parlays anywhere. And now, Superbook will give you a bonus of up to $250 when you sign up and wager on the same day and use the promo code GlennClark23, GLENNCLARK23. So bet with the best and use the promo code GlennClark23 this football season with Superbook Sports. Visit superbook.com for terms and conditions. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
What's up, everyone? It's Tyus Bowser, and I've had so much fun hanging out with Rita and putting up with Glenn the last couple years that I've decided to do it again. Season 3 of the Tyus Bowser Show is happening this year, as we'll be all over town, giving you the chance to get to know me and some of my teammates. As we talk football, life in general, and just say what needs to be said. You can find out more about the show by going to PressBoxOnline.com/Bowser. If you don't live in the area, you can watch the shows live on Facebook and YouTube. And if you miss one, you can listen Friday nights at 105.7 The Fan. So we'll see you all season long for the Tyus Bowser Show, a partnership of PressBox and Great Ace Memorabilia.
The next Tyus Bowser Show is Tuesday, January 2nd at Mother's North Grill in Timonium. It's brought to you by Superbook Sports, AJ Michaels, and HelpMyGamblingProblem.org.
There's so much focus on sports betting these days, but I want to talk about an area that nobody wants to gamble on, where you choose to go out and spend your hard-earned dollars to eat. The Costas Inn is no gamble at all. The quality on their menu is outstanding, and the value is off the charts with a great and varied list of specials Monday through Friday. And the staples of the menu, whether it's salads, burgers, fish, they're all fantastic. And I haven't even mentioned the crabs or crab cakes yet. So check out the menu for yourself at CostasInn.com. When choosing a place to dine, never gamble on the food you put in your belly. The Costas Inn at 4100 North Point Boulevard, or call 410-477-1975 for reservations and your steamed crab orders.
What company has the expertise to make your home healthier by purifying your air and killing all viruses, allergens, and bacteria? A.J. Michaels, Heating and Air Conditioning in Baltimore and Annapolis, ajmichaels.com.
Visit Harford County. Gear up for the holidays by supporting local with Small Business Saturday on November 25th. Take in the dazzling sights of the season with a Ladue Christmas at Ladue Topiary Gardens. Enjoy holiday lights, sing along to holiday songs, reserve a carriage ride, and sit on Santa's lap in Bel Air's Winter Wonderland, happening every Saturday from November 25th until December 16th. Nothing sparks that holiday joy quite like a festive parade. Head to visitharford.com and click on Events to see the full list of parades and so much more. In Maryland, you're welcome.
Whether your focus is luxury and comfort, convenience and technologically advanced connectivity, or sporty performance and aggressive styling, we've got the perfect Highlander for you. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Highlanders from your local Toyota dealer today.
Hey Ravens fans, looking for the perfect new game day brew? Get a Guilford, Baltimore's finest craft beer during the next home game at the bank. That's not all. Gather your flock next home game and check out Guilford Hall Brewery's brand new bar, the Gilly Nest, located near Section 505. No tickets? No problem. Enjoy all Ravens games all season long at our restaurant and brewery in Station North. Guilford Hall Brewery, European tradition, Baltimore charm.
Sure, Glenn may be in his 40s now, but he looks just as good as he ever has, and he's still as sharp as he ever was. And I say both those things without even a shred of irony. Find out for yourself right now by watching the show at facebook.com/PressBoxSports or youtube.com/PressBoxOnline.
All right, back in here on GCR on a Tuesday edition of the program, as we've got a little bit more to do today, and we will be with you, as I said, throughout the course of this week, then off on Monday, normal week after that, and then I'm taking a week of vacation. Just a weird way that it all works out, but hey, you know what? Deal with it. It's my show. We're about to be joined by Joe Serpico to dish out some waiver wire Wednesday advice Joe Serpico is always brought to you by Live Casino and Hotel. Before you call him, Griffin, can you tell everybody what's going on at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland?
Yes, over.
And we're running out of time.
Yeah, we are really running out of time now. Coming down to the final, I guess, 2 weeks now. If luck wasn't on your side at a recent bet at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino and Hotel Maryland, well, you can turn those losses into winning opportunities with the second chance to win promotion between now and January 4th. So only about a week and a half left. All Live Casino and Hotel Maryland Rewards members will be able to enter their losing bet slips into the second chance to win drum, and then 2 nights a week, 20 different winners will be chosen with prizes ranging from Live Casino and Hotel Maryland apparel, sports and social ultimate happy hour, plus cash and free play worth up to $500. Drawings will be held every Thursday and Monday only at the FanDuel Sportsbook at Live Casino in Hotel Maryland. At Arundel Mills, must be 21. Please play responsibly. For help, visit mdgamblinghelp.org or call 1-800-GAMBLE.
I will have power rankings up later today at PressBoxOnline.com. It's going to be a little bit later than usual because, we had a game last night and Project Game Day and the holidays and the whole kit and caboodle. But I'm going to get power rankings up. And, yes, the Baltimore Ravens will be number 1 in my power rankings. But as I said last week, that doesn't – you don't hang banners for that. You don't get a T-shirt for being number 1 in the power rankings after 16 weeks. Still work to be done in order to get the T-shirts, the parades, the banners, all of that stuff. We have reached championship week when it comes to fantasy football. I play in 3 leagues, and I'll be playing for titles in 2 of those leagues, including in the Press Box League. Well, I don't even remember what we ultimately, because we did decide to do money in the Press Box League so that, we would actually try, but I don't even remember how much it was or if we decided it was winner takes all. I don't even know what's at stake. It was really, to me, this week about pride. And this week, Griffin, I do want to make sure I take a second because for religious people, this is a very important week. For certain people that celebrate, right? This was a very important week, as they recognize the birth of their Lord and Savior. Just, it's weird because there's some controversy about that. Was our Lord and Savior really born on December 25th? I actually am of the belief that he was not born on December 25th, but instead was born on November 16th, 1995. Because on that day, in the town of Orange, California, our Lord and Savior, Jason Sanders, was born to us. And for those of us who celebrate, it truly was miraculous. Oh, yes! Joining us now, Pressbox Fantasy Football Analyst, our friend, Mr. Joe Serpico. Hey, Joe. How's that Jason Sanders boot up your ass feeling this morning, pal?
So I was going to bring it up, but you brought it up for me. So I've always been one of those that's not a big fan of kickers.
That's a real shame.
Seeing how has my kicker put up -1 points in 2 weeks straight, I am not too thrilled
You're
about
saying
kickers right now.
that 26-point difference between my kicker and your kicker might have made a difference in who's advancing to the championship?
Well, you won by 15, so yes, I would say that did the difference. I think that did the difference.
How about that? That's just, you know what that is, Joe? That's just a real shame, pal. That's just a real shame for you. Jason effing Sanders. Suck it! Dude, when he lined up, I was jumping off. I was watching the game with my son, and he lined up for a 57-yarder early in the game, and I was like, that's kind of crazy. I had forgotten that I had Jason Sanders on my fantasy team. So I get an alert from Sleeper that Jason Sanders had just kicked a whatever gigantic field goal after I'd seen it. And 2 minutes after the field goal occurred, I yelled in the room. My son's looking at me like, what is wrong with you, you idiot? I said, boy, I had no idea that Jason Sanders was the kicker on my fantasy team, and I am now very excited. It was actually more awkward than that because I was also playing against Jason Sanders in my other league, so it became very uncomfortable for a little bit. But ultimately worked out quite well for me. What do you have to say for yourself for your shameful performance, Joe Serpico?
Get rid of kickers. That's what we're going to say. Get rid of kickers.
I would blame the general manager.
At least here's what I could.
I would say the general
Go
manager
ahead.
selected the kicker. I feel like you're trying to absolve yourself of blame. It was not my choice that you decided to play Brandon McManus as your kicker. I just may be a little bit better at choosing kickers than you are.
That's what I get for being loyal to a Temple alum like myself, like Brandon McManus is.
That's what it is. That's what it is. It's your loyalty that's the problem. I see now. Well, in the Press Box League, it will now be a titanic matchup between myself and Ken Zales, who shocked the number 1 overall seed, Paul and Ovi Lando, in the semifinals to advance to the finals. So Ken Zales and I matching up in the championship in the Press Box League. Now, Joe Serpico, there's the small issue, which is that you and I never agreed to a final side bet for this week. Griffin still hasn't paid off, by the way. He swears he's going to do it tomorrow. We'll see. He has to consume an entire Panettone during the course of the show. Better get him today. Although, was this really your brilliant strategy of trying to get 50% off on your Panettone because you assume all the prices are going to be marked down today?
I mean, can you blame me?
All right, you know what? I'm actually going to give you credit for that. I will give you a bit credit for that. You and I never agreed to terms. But in our picks league this week, we also had a side bet going on that I feel like actually speaks a little bit closer to you because, as you mentioned your Italian heritage, I also happen to know your family is involved in the Italian food business, correct?
Correct. Yes, they are. They got a little spot in Sparks. Let's just put it that way.
I've been there a few times. I would say that you probably would find it to be an affront to Italian culture to learn that my friend Tyus Bowser, when he prepares a plate of spaghetti, he then covers it with ranch dressing on top. I would assume that is quite offensive to you as an Italian.
I will have to 100% agree with that. It's almost as bad as ranch on pizza.
So I would also assume that that makes it a pretty good side bet and that you two are going to choose to be in as you have to pay some sort of penalty. You're also going to be willing to consume a plate of ranch on spaghetti, correct?
Not by choice, but I will do it because I'm a man of my word.
You are a man of your word. So here's the deal, right? Like, if you can come in and do it in studio, we'd love to have you do that. In fact, I was thinking about this next week because this is our final week of Waiver Wire Wednesday, right? So if you'd like to wrap the season next week with a special in-studio appearance with your plate of spaghetti, we'd love that. If you can't, we understand, and we will accept you doing this and videoing it on your own time. But I will have Griffin work with you about this, and when it might be possible, it would be our preference for you to join us in studio to participate and to pay off your penance, all right?
I would much rather that as well, to be really honest with you, so you can see my face of disgust.
All right. I think that would make it much better. We would get a lot more out of that. All right, Griffin will work with you on that, and I appreciate you stepping up to the plate literally and figuratively. Well done, sir. All right, let's get into Waiver Wire Wednesday for the final time this season. One last chance for everybody to find some help. Are we going back to George Pickens after all of us that had him at the beginning of the year absolutely gave up on him at some point during the course of the season?
So it's funny you say that because we were having this argument in a group chat with mine. Him and Gabe Davis seem to be like that same kind of player where they're on one game, they're off the next game. They're just so unreliable. But then this is what you get. You get those extremely those boom games, but you get those absolute busts as well. If Pickens is available, and let's say you were somebody that lost, like Jordan Addison went out this past weekend, yeah, absolutely go grab him. Now, I would assume he's not out there available at this stage of the game, but if he is, absolutely get him on your team. Ooh. As far as starting him, again, my only concern is just because of how he's been as of late is just so boom or bust, but it also seems like between the two receivers, him and Deontay Johnson, he has kind of been the preferred one as of late.
So the Zamir White thing, after we saw what we saw yesterday, if Josh Jacobs were to not play again next week, and I got to think that he's back. Like, I have to think the fact that he was this close this week and then didn't play, and technically the games are, I guess, still meaningful to them, that he probably plays next week. Have they been officially eliminated, or are they still clinging to some sort of like outside?
I believe they do have some hope because they're 7-8.
Yeah, but it's the AFC. It's not like the NFC where everybody's in it.
Well, they can win. They could
still win the division. That's right. Yeah. They could still. So the game still matters. So I think Josh Jacobs probably plays, but if he doesn't, I assume that Zamir White proved yesterday like he's must play if Josh Jacobs were for some reason be out again.
Oh, I absolutely agree with that. He was my priority out, I believe it was 2 weeks ago when it first happened to Jacobs. It was one of those, at least for the first week, let's wait and see, because Jacobs, like you said, Jacobs was kind of a game-time decision. But the past 2 weeks, Lamar White has looked like somebody, a flex-worthy play. I'm not saying to let's start him over your RB2, but if you're in the need for somebody at the flex spot, he's absolutely a guy I can put in that spot there. I'd be surprised if he's available, considering we are in crunch time, and I've always been a proponent. This is when you stack as many running backs as possible, not only for yourself, but to play what I call fantasy defense. But if Lamar White is out there, scoop him up. And like I said, he's actually got a decent matchup this week too. So I'm all in on that if he's available, because the Raiders are actually playing a lot better than I think a lot of us thought just a couple weeks ago. Shout out to Antonio Pierce getting that team in order.
No doubt. The Clyde Edwards-Helaire thing, we don't know where exactly Isaiah Pacheco is, but I presume if you're a Pacheco owner, you better be scrambling. You should have had Edwards-Helaire already, but if you don't, you better be scrambling to see if he's available. Are you playing him if Pacheco is out this week?
Yeah, so if there was going to be a waiver wire piece this week, the only person I was going to put on there was going to be Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and that's only because of the injury to Pacheco. With McKinney going on IR, and we've seen a lot this year that a lot of players haven't played the week after they've got a concussion. So we're looking at a case where it could be Clyde Edwards-Helaire exclusively. And again, like we've talked about all season long, you never think about these third running backs becoming fantasy relevant here, but Edwards-Helaire is, again, a guy I could definitely start as a flex this week. Kind of like the matchup. The Bengals are pretty good against the pass, but not, they're kind of mediocre when it comes to the ground game. Something's off with the Chiefs' passing game as well. I think it might be just that the receivers there are just not good, to say the least. But get your hands on the running game if you can, because like I said, he's the only guy left there, other than I believe maybe they'll have with Gore as the second guy, but I think that's going to be all his work, at least for this week.
All right, now I need you to anything else waiver wire related, because then you're just going to help me at this point. Anything else? I mean, I don't think there's like any Cedric Wilson value with Waddle sideline, right?
No, not as the only. If you lost your tight end, it's like if you were like a if you were a T.J. Hawkinson owner, you lost him. The only name I was going to bring up is maybe Chigakonkwo. I like his matchup this week as well. So that's really it. But like I said, as far as a waiver wire piece this week, all I really had for you was Edwards-Helaire, because let's face it, if you're not picking up guys this week for a championship game. If you're in a championship game, you should have a pretty strong team, and you shouldn't really have to be focused on many of these guys.
All right, he's Joe Serpico. Oh, I get my advice, then you can get yours. You settle down over there. Keep it in your. Oh, fine.
Those defenses. So the Rams defense is available. They're playing the Giants this week, and so I have the Eagles and the Dolphins defenses, and you would go with the Rams for that matchup, right, Joe?
Yes, I do like that one. I would have liked it a little bit more if DeVito was still an option.
Yeah.
Tyrod Taylor, I like that. That veteran presence. But at the same time, what we've seen from the Giants this year has been brutal. It doesn't matter who's been at quarterback. The Rams are a team that I talked about a couple weeks ago as somebody I was trying to play, throughout your fantasy playoffs. So yeah, absolutely. If the Rams are available, as out of the three that you mentioned, I'd probably put the Rams first, then the Eagles, and I think you said the Dolphins after that. Based on what we've seen from this Ravens offense, I'm not playing the Dolphins.
That in mind, I actually was between the Broncos defense against the Chargers and trying to pick up the Rams defense.
The Chargers, that's a good one, because the Chargers have been so hit or miss the past couple of weeks. They were really bad one week, and they were okay the next.
I believe the Raiders scored a billion defensive points against the Chargers 2 weeks ago.
Yes, also as well, but you can't really expect a repeat performance of that.
And on the whole, the Broncos defense,
just because I like the Broncos just because of who they're going against Easton Stick. Like I mentioned before, would I rather go play a defense going against Easton Stick or Tyrod Taylor? I would much rather go against the one that's playing Easton Stick.
All right, I'm with it. My quarterback situation, again, it depends on if these two guys play. So right now I'd be playing Matt Stafford against the Giants, but I'm also holding both Trevor Lawrence, who gets the Panthers if he returns this week, and C.J. Stroud, who would face the Titans if he returns this week. So the first measure of it is, are either of those guys back this week? But if, let's just say, all of them were to be playing, which of the three would you play?
Is this a 2-quarterback league or just one?
One.
For me, it's Stroud. I mean, the way he was playing, I think this is the week he finally. Actually, I was a little bit surprised he didn't come back this week because, like I said before, the concussion thing is, for the most part, has been a 1-week thing. We've seen a few cases where it's been 2, and that seems to be the case here with Stroud. But, I mean, based on what we've seen all season long, Stroud's got to be the guy. And then the Texans got something to really play for this weekend. They're playing the Titans division game. They're still fighting it out to try to win that division. Lawrence, that injury kind of scares me a little bit. And as far as bad as the Panthers have been this year, their defense, I don't think gets enough credit. Their defense is actually not that bad, especially their pass defense. I would put Lawrence probably at the bottom of the 3, to be honest. I would say Stroud, then Stafford, then Lawrence, just because the matchup and then this injury to Lawrence. I think of the 2 that are injured, I think Lawrence has the least likelihood of playing this week.
I agree with that. I am struggling just because Matt Stafford's playing so well recently, right? Like, there's some part of me that's sort of like, don't mess with it. Just ride it out. He's playing really well. It's a pretty good matchup against the Giants. Like, don't rock the boat here, but I hear you that Stroud has the chance to be explosive.
Stafford or Kyler? Kyler plays the Eagles this week.
That's a good one. I mean, I'm an Eagles fan, but boy, is that defense terrible. That's a good one. I'm not saying Kyler. At some point, I think the Eagles' defense has to show what they were last year. It's all the same players. I just don't understand how they're just bad. These are like their get-right games. These next couple of weeks, they got the Cardinals and then the Giants again next week. So, no, bench Kyler Murray in that spot. That's probably what I'm doing.
All right. Again, we're going over everything here. This is the way it's going to go because I'm nervous. I'm back to tight end hell. I'm stuck with either Darren Waller or Dalton Kincaid. I assume, despite yesterday, I still stick it out with Waller for the championship.
Yeah, just because, like we kind of said last week, Waller is de facto number 1 on that offense. The Bills, they've got a plethora of options. It doesn't seem to be the case with the Giants. The Giants Waller's their best player without a doubt. We knew that going into the season. So yeah, it's going to be the same moving forward. I'm definitely not worried about like a Darius Slayton who had that long touchdown yesterday or anything like that.
And the truth is, they probably should have had a couple of touchdowns yesterday. Like, if they just had a competent quarterback, he probably still. And so maybe the move to Tyrod Taylor gives him a shot, right?
Exactly. That's what I like about that. And like I kind of said about Kincaid, with Dawson Knox coming back, he's cutting into that time. I'd much rather have, Waller, who is without a doubt not only the number 1 tight end, but the number 1 receiver on his team, as opposed to Kincaid, who's splitting time at tight end. And then, you still have your Diggs and Gabe Davis and even James Cook out of the backfield.
There's no chance you're picking up or you're playing Christian Watson over DJ Moore, is there, if Watson returns this week?
Nah, DJ Moore. I mean, I love what we've seen from DJ Moore this year.
Not this week.
I was just saying, not so much this week, but because that was more of he got banged up. I believe it was in the first quarter, and then kind of didn't get out of it. Actually, I was surprised he even got back on the field because he had his ankle wrapped at one point. But Christian Watson, again, one of those guys that's been like so boom or bust for you. He kind of scares me a little bit. And I like I've always said, I'd much rather ride the guys who've gotten me here as opposed to Christian Watson. Yeah, it would be a solid play because the Packers receiving core is pretty banged up. But like I said, just go with the guys that got you to this stage.
All right.
I'm in a kind of a similar spot because I somehow survived starting Deontay Johnson last week. Do I start Deontay Johnson or Calvin? Or not? I'm starting Calvin Ridley or Christian Watson or Deontay Johnson.
Christian Watson or Deontay Johnson. Give me Christian Watson.
Okay.
Because of what I just said. With the Packers receiving room being so banged up, I don't believe there's going to be Jaden Reed this week. Romeo Doubs somehow might be the only one if Watson does play this week.
Right.
But if Watson is back, yeah, absolutely. I think they are. I actually really like their matchup this week against the Vikings because they're still in a wild card run, still got something to play for, as opposed to the Vikings are, basically just kind of winding down their season. So I do like the Packers this week as well.
All right. Very good. At Joe Serp on Twitter, PressBoxOnline.com is where you see his stuff, and you'll see him here in this studio very soon consuming his Tyus Bowser spaghetti. Joe Serpico, have truly appreciate you all season. We'll be checking in, obviously, as we get closer to the draft, too, and talking to you about all that sort of stuff. But thank you all season long for joining us for Waiver Wire Wednesday. We really appreciate it. Happy New Year, bud. Thanks for doing this.
Absolutely, guys. Call me anytime. I'm going to miss you guys for the next couple months.
Appreciate it, buddy. It's Joe Serpico, Pressbox Fantasy Football Analyst. Thanks for him all season long, taking care of us and getting us ready for Waiver Wire Wednesday. And Griffin will work out the details with him, as both he and Tim Barbalace will be paying off penalties and will be consuming this ranch on spaghetti that Tyus Bowser likes so bad. Joe's been brought to you all season long by our friends at Live Casino and Hotel. All right, winding down for a Tuesday edition. We're going to get out of here on time today. It's going to be a first. It's going to be a day after Christmas miracle. Boxing Day miracle, they call it. You know, it's kind of weird that they've never, like, the sport of boxing has never thought to try to take advantage of Boxing Day.
Boxing Day. Why?
Like, there's no football on. There's no. I think college basketball. There's no games still until tomorrow.
There's only like 1, 2 tomorrow.
Two tomorrow. Yeah. One of them is Morgan. Yeah.
Morgan,
correct.
Virginia.
Right. You would think that at some point boxing. I know that like it's a big thing. Soccer is the big deal today.
Yes.
Like the Premier League does a lot on Boxing Day. But you would have thought that like boxing, maybe at some point somebody involved would have said, "Hey, our sport's kind of dying. Like, there's a natural tie-in. Maybe we try to take advantage of it somehow."
Big boxing. Yeah, I mean that'd be a.
It's just not been
that
the
would
case.
Be cool.
Not been the case.
Instead, it is a bowl day, of course.
There are a few bowl games. We'll get to that in 1 second when we do Tubular. Tidbit is brought to you by Superbook. And if you want to bet on any of these bowl games, have we checked to see where we're at?
I'm doing awful.
Okay. All right. Do you want to check for everybody else? Maybe
no,
real quick.
I don't think it really matters what anybody else is doing.
Why don't you pull it up so that we have an answer on that? You can bet all these bowl games, of course, with Superbook, and when you sign up, chill. Let me do the read, then you can do that. When you sign up, use the code GlennClark23, and you'll receive up to $250 in a same-day first bet match, win or lose. Again, Superbook.com. Use the Superbook app and that code GlennClark, GLENNCLARK, GlennClark23. You got it?
Yes. Good old. Wow, we have a 5-way tie right now for first.
Oh.
A couple of people 12 and 6.
Okay.
Ben Hall.
Ben Hall from 105.7 The Fan. He's a bit of a gambler.
Yes, he is. Yeah, Mama Doc. That's Pam.
Oh, Pam Corvin.
Pam
wow,
Corvin,
that's
yes.
the Pam is the mom of former Stevenson and Salisbury lacrosse player Wade Corvin, who has stayed in touch over the years, and Pam is a friend. That's awesome. I love that.
Jeff Clark.
My cousin Jeff. Stop it. He doesn't know anything about football. He knows nothing. He loves Penn State. He loves and the Ravens.
And John in Little Rock.
Look at John in Little Rock. Look at John.
And
Jeff actually came out and supported our event with Michael Pierce last week. So I am happy for him.
And Richard Warfel.
I know who that is, but I don't know who that is.
Warfel.
I know who that is because they got in and but I don't really know who that is.
Let's see. KZ is he's tied for he's 2 games back.
What about myself?
PFF Sean's 2 games. PFF Sean actually is in second, tied for second.
Oh, okay. Which PFF Sean?
PFF Sean. PFF Sean, not PFF Shuan.
Okay, I don't have it in me.
Where
am I?
You are. You have 10 wins, so you're 2 games back.
Okay. All right, I'll take that.
I'm at 8 and 10, so that would make me
4 games back.
back.
Still a lot to be played. Still
tied for 28.
A lot to be determined. Ooh. Not
good.
Wow, you only have to go 2 games to get all the way to 28th. It sounds like nobody's doing all that bad.
It looks like everyone's about like 12 and 6 to 8 and 10, just about right now.
All right. Very good. Now, what do you have for tidbits?
Unless you're Jennifer Stecco, or is that Andrew Stecco using?
I would assume.
Okay, he's 6 and 12.
I do appreciate some normalcy. He's winning our league, losing the bowl pick'em, or maybe Jen just made the picks. I don't know. Perhaps she got in as well. I don't remember.
Brock Purdy, he threw 4 interceptions in a game last night, of course, against the Ravens.
It's not great.
He entered the game as the NFL's passing leader, or passer rating leader. It is the 5th time that a quarterback has. He's the 4th quarterback to do this. The 5th time it has happened that the quarterback with the NFL's passer rating leader,
okay,
has thrown 4 interceptions.
fifth time?
Yeah, it's the fifth time it's happened.
I mean, you're not really going to ask me to name the other ones, are you?
No, but there's some notable names on this. It's kind
Aaron
of
Rodgers.
not Aaron Rodgers.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
Peyton Manning.
Not Peyton.
Dan Marino.
Not Dan.
Patrick Mahomes.
Not Mahomes.
Brett Favre.
Not Brett. Friend of the program.
Friend of the program. Oh, Kurt Warner.
Kurt Warner twice on this list.
Really?
Yes. In 2000 and 2001, he came back with 4 interception games.
Like friend of the program. Who that? Oh, right. I was forgetting that.
And then in 1991,
John Elway.
the late
1991.
for the Buffalo Bills.
What? Jim Kelly wasn't the quarterback of the Buffalo Bills in '91.
It was Jim Kelly.
Kelly's not dead.
He's not dead.
Oh God, Griffin.
Why am I thinking of? Who am I thinking of?
God, I don't know.
Was
Jim
he was sick, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's been through a lot, but he's definitely not dead.
Okay, so not Jim Kelly is not the answer here.
Oh.
But Jim Kelly is. I'm sorry, Jim Kelly's on the list, but that was the wrong hint.
Oh God, that's some Drew Forrester level.
Sorry.
God,
Tom Brady, Kurt
it's so
Warner,
much
Jim
worse
Kelly.
because he's actually been through so much that like you killed him off because of it. Where it's heroic. what
Sorry,
he's been
Jim.
through.
I'm sorry. My apologies.
That was dark.
Did I try to rebound or?
I don't know, man. I think we might just call it quits. Didn't make it to 12. Sorry, came close.
There have been 2 players now in NFL history with 200 receiving yard games for 3 different teams. One of them happened this weekend.
Yeah, Amari Cooper.
And
Terrell Owens.
Well done. We'll end on that one.
I mean, it's more logical. You got to think of receivers who are still in their prime playing for multiple different teams, and there aren't many of them. But Terrell Owens was still in his prime in all of Philly, San Francisco, and Dallas. So
who knows? Maybe it could have been 4 teams.
yeah, I guess it's possible. He still actually had a little bit to offer in Cincinnati, like not much. And then I was trying to think about it, like could it have been Randy Moss? Like with one of the teams that he hung on with at the end, but he was pretty much done. Like he was obviously in his prime in Minnesota, New England, but that was over after that.
TO and AC.
Very good. Let's get Tubular. Tubular is brought to you by your local Toyota dealer and buyatoyota.com. The Toyota Tacoma comes in a range of models and trim lines, so you can choose the perfect Tacoma to reflect your unique personality and driving habits. Check out buyatoyota.com for deals on new Tacomas from your local Toyota dealer today. The Quick Lane Bowl, the most magical bowl game of the year. Minnesota, 5-7.
Man,
playing the day. That means they had to spend Christmas in Detroit. A bad football team, then forced to spend their Christmas in Detroit.
This is always the bowl that we threaten Maryland will get.
Yes, correct. This is the worst of all of them. Like you don't get a good location. It's not relevant. I don't know why this game exists, but you can watch it
So
for
that you
betting
can have on
purposes
December
today at
26th
2
or
o'clock.
2 o'clock, yeah.
And I believe I read a story. You can double check to see if it's true or not. That they had to get another $30,000 in NIL money in order to get their backup quarterback.
I did see that.
Is that a legit straight sheet story?
I've heard it elsewhere, so it must be.
It's not even their starting quarterback. Their backup quarterback, to get him to play in the bowl game so they would have a quarterback. And I believe I saw there was another team in bowl season that had to line up like a tight end as their quarterback in order to get him.
Okay, so the Minnesota Gophers, Cole Kramer squashes rumor.
Okay,
that he
says
was
it's
paid.
untrue.
Yes, this was a couple days ago. He squashed the rumor.
I liked
that
it better when it was true. By the way, this is bonkers. So if you didn't hear, Mike Loxley confirmed that there is a chance that Talia Tagovailoa is going to attempt to get another year of eligibility, not at Maryland.
Let's just make him play on.
Apparently to go play at Miami, which was rumored in this column that Greg is it Cote or Cote, the guy from the Levitard show. I can't even. He wrote about this like 2 weeks ago, and everybody was like, "Dude, he's used up all of his eligibility." He's just gonna petition the NCAA apparently, despite the fact that he played in like 4 games 1 year and 5 games another year, that he should still get another year of eligibility. And the NCAA is like just given up so much at this point that nobody, like, we're acting like it's a legitimate possibility that he could win his petition and just be granted another year of playing college football. With the idea being that like the NIL money for him being in Miami where Tua is would be extraordinary. Maryland's moving on. And as I said, it's difficult talking about Leah because like he was obviously better than anything Maryland had, but when we say that the reasons they didn't like, it wasn't like he was flawless. Yes, if he's going to be playing college football, you'd probably rather have him at Maryland than somewhere else. But it's also bizarro that the idea that he's going to be allowed to play for another year is kind of badass crazy to me, man. I don't think the NCAA should exist, but at some point, like, go get a job, dude. Like, you have played plenty of college football. You have not been cheated in the process whatsoever. Get a job. It's just time to move on. Be on with it. Anyway, Quick Lane Bowl today at 2 o'clock. Bowling Green in Minnesota. First Responder Bowl, Texas State and Rice at 5:30. Guaranteed Rate Bowl, Kansas UNLV at 9 o'clock. Those two teams are both good stories this year. I know it's not like I know that game doesn't like jump off the page in any way, but you know we remember Kansas was very exciting at the beginning of the year, and UNLV was one of the best stories in all of college football.
Should be a good over game.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. Griffin says bet the over. And your streak with overs or streak with betting the total has been so good of late that why would anybody not listen to
we
you?
know.
The over hit last night, though, right?
I would assume, yeah, because what was it, low 40s?
I think it was.
Yeah. It seems like that trend is officially dead.
Monumental for Magic Wizards, 7 o'clock.
Ooh.
Yeah, throw out all the records. Just throw out everything about it. NBA TV, Pacers, Rockets at 8. How'd the Suns do last night?
I don't know. You tell me.
They were down double digits when I gave up on it. I don't know. They probably lost. I gave up. I don't. I'm
the good old
Kevin
Suns.
Kevin Durant wants out already. It's a complete cluster F. Bradley Beal played 2 games all season. It's just an utter cluster F. Suns bad. This is what it is to be a Suns
They only
fan.
lost by 14.
Oh, they got that going for them. They stink. They're under 500 now for the year. Hornets Clippers 10:30 on NBA TV. As I mentioned, it's Boxing Day, so there's been soccer all morning. It continues. Burnley and Liverpool 12:30, and Man U Aston Villa at 3 on the USA Network, and WWE NXT tonight at 8 o'clock on USA as well. Some non-sports highlights.
Not a whole lot, like nothing too much on like network TV, but Fargo, a new episode of that, of course. Hard Knocks with the Dolphins. I guess we won't be seeing any Raven stuff this week.
I've got bad news for you. John Proctor agrees with you and put Brent Urban on your list, so now you know it's wrong.
Thanks, John.
Now you know it's wrong.
No, he's in my corner.
Yeah, that's not the person you want. Yes.
There's the 12th and final season of Letterkenny out on Hulu.
I don't know when I'm going to have the time, but
Final
I look forward to
season.
it. It's very sad. Are they doing more seasons of Shoresy, though?
Excellent question.
All right.
Maybe too early to call that. I don't know.
Okay, you just don't know is what you're trying to say. You have no idea.
I know it just came out.
You can
so
just say I have no idea. It's okay.
Next season. On Peacock, there's this thing that I don't think is going to be any good, but it's 2023. Back that year up with Kevin Hart and Kenan Thompson. It's on Peacock special.
There was one that Netflix did every year that was actually pretty funny and good. I believe it was called Death 2.
The year?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they did it, like, the first one might have been the pandemic year, and it was like...
Death to
then
2020.
Then they kept doing it afterwards, and I thought it was good. So if they do that again, that's actually funny. It reminds me of VH1's old show, Best Week Ever, which I enjoyed. Like, it had a lot, Patrice was part of that, and a lot of great comedians were part of it. Kevin Hart, I liked Kevin Hart. I'm just out. Like, he's not really trying to tell jokes anymore. He's just like, the comedy is just supposed to be I'm Kevin Hart. Like, the manic. That's all it is. He's that level of famous that, like, he doesn't have to try anymore. And so I'm kind of checked out on Kevin Hart. Sorry.
Kenan Thompson will be there.
I do like Kenan. I like Kenan, but I nothing about that. That doesn't read. If it's just them, like, playing...
Be like, remember when this happened?
Yeah, I'm
Kevin Hart.
I'm out. Like, you need the panel of comedians to, like, and good writing that they did on that Death. That was what it was called, right? Netflix.
That sounds like
Death 2. Yeah, they did it for 2020. They did it for 2021 for sure. Did they do it last year? They didn't do it last year, so maybe they're not doing it at all. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. Well, we can just go back and rewatch Death of 2020.
I would. It was really good. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, that is it. Those are your highlights.
It's gonna be one of those kind of weeks. Just not
I
think
think so.
Not a lot going on for the holidays.
I try to.
And holiday special season is over. There's just
So
when do we get the shows back? Does that start soon? Like, because they were able to start filming and they rushed a lot like production.
It seems like there's going to be a lot of stuff, like probably like the week, like the first week of the new year.
I look forward to that.
Because I try to go to a Wizards game for some reason, like this week.
What?
Well, because like
do you hate
NBA?
yourself?
It's the NBA.
Who are they playing though? Are they playing a real team?
Well, like that's just the way it worked because we were always on winter break. My friends were around, and
you're saying in the past?
Yes.
I thought you meant this
and
week.
we're not
I'm
sure.
Like, what's wrong with
we're not
you?
sure if we'll be able to this week.
Wait, you're still trying to do it this year?
Yeah.
What is
it's NBA basketball. When do I get to watch
again,
NBA?
It depends on who they're playing. If it's NBA basketball.
So we
or
were
not.
like, I'm not sure if we'll be there this week. Or I was like, what about Martin Luther King Day? There might be like, like some like college team or something. The Wizards are home on Martin Luther King Day
against
the Detroit Pistons.
Oh my God!
We're like, we have to go.
What is wrong with you?
I don't get to go to any NBA
games.
It's
not
ever.
Free.
It'll be free.
I understand, but you still have to drive down there and pay for parking or ride the metro or whatever.
So that's kind of.
You have to race out of here.
Where you? Oh yeah, I guess.
We normally work because it's normally the day after a Ravens game,
right,
so we normally don't take off on MLK Day because there's too much important content going on.
Yeah, we'll race out of here and go watch.
This week you
battle for the best odds at the number one pick.
The Raptors playing in DC this week.
Fred VanVleet in town.
Yeah, the two of the worst teams in the NBA. God, brutal. All right, well there's that.
Yeah.
Anyway, thanks today. Proctor, I'll talk to you. Proctor still. I don't think Proctor realizes that he's off the hook for the spaghetti.
Well, let's not tell him.
I kind of don't want to. All right. Thanks today to Tim Barbalace.
I already did it.
Yeah. To Tim, to Joe Serpico, who both have to do the spaghetti. And also thanks to Dan Wilcox. We'll get it all up in the greatest hits section of the
Oh, my God. It's so good.
tab at glennclarkradio.com. On the program tomorrow, Public Enemy number 1, Mike Florio is joining the show tomorrow. We'll see how it goes. Drew's coming in, so.
I already wants to double down.
What's that?
Florio.
Oh, he wants to. He already apologized. So look, man. You know me. I don't do fights. That's not my thing, unless Florio says something that makes me want to fight. And as I said before, I'm not the one that cares. But we'll talk about it. Like it's been a bad 24 hours. We'll talk about it. Stuff and things. Derek Rackley, who did the game for Westwood One, is going to join us. And are we doing County Sports Zone Radio tomorrow?
Yes, and
County Sports Zone Radio with Wes Brown because we weren't able to do it today. We didn't do Patrick Stevens Day. We'll do that on Thursday.
Correct.
Very good. Yeah, Proctor. We didn't have it on the sheet. Tim Barbalace finished 3-6. He was worse than everybody else. We just didn't have him on the sheet. So you're off the hook. Congratulations. It's a Christmas miracle for John Proctor. Now, pay what you owe. All right, that's different. We had a bit of a situation. Apparently, I hadn't in one of my fantasy leagues. I hadn't paid the dues, and I was like, nobody told me. He was like, "Oh, I put it in the Discord thread." Like, dude, there's
Glenn's
so much S
Glenn
in the
uses Discord.
You know, I'm a big Discord guy. Yesterday, it just happened to pop up on my phone while I was sitting there in the middle of the day, so I was on Discord. We both Proctor and I apparently hadn't paid for fantasy, and I might win that league, so it's important that Proctor pays. Very important now. Of course, when I say that, I'm not going to win, and then I'm gonna whatever. Anyway, more
actually,
pay your dues. All right, I did. I got in last night. Thanks to everybody at PressBox, all of our great sponsors and partners, including Live Casino and Hotel Maryland, as well as Mother's North Grill, AJ Michaels, Guilford Hall Brewery, Royal Farms, Costa Sin, Superbook Sports, Hartford County, your local Toyota dealer, and buyatoyota.com. Thanks to Griffin at Griffin_Bass. Follow us, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Glenn Clark Radio. Have a great Tuesday evening. Go nobody. Duke sucks.